Blockbuster coverage of the Karnataka Assembly elections, we're now looking ahead to the three big state elections. Which way are the winds blowing in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh? That's my focus on this week's edition of the Political Stock Exchange.
Congress contains Rajasthan desert storm. Permanent peace or temporary truce?
We have decided to fight election unitedly. Both of are in agreement that Congress party has to go together.
Will the Rajasthan polls be impacted by the Gelhot pilot feud? Is pilot's stock up or down? Can Gelhot beat anti-incumbency? Which way are desert winds blowing? Political Stock Exchange. Big focus on Newstrack.
A big meeting in the national capital led by Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, Rahul Gandhi having a role to play, an attempt to bring about a rapprochement between Ashok Gelhot, the Chief Minister of Rajasthan, and his bétanois Sachin pilot. Has a truce been reached at all? More importantly, what is the data suggesting? Which way are the political winds blowing in the desert state of Rajasthan? That's what we'll focus on in the first part of the Political Stock Exchange. I want to welcome our guest for this broadcast. With us is Rahul Verma, fellow at the Center for Policy Research, well-known election analyst. With me in the studio, Rahul Srivastav, our National Affairs Editor. Rashid Kidwai joins us. Nobody tracks the Congress in quite the way Rashid Kidwai does. With us for political perspective in the Mediaplex, Shehzad Poonawalla from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Shehzad, welcome, and squaring off against him, Dr. Ajay Kumar from the Congress. So I'll take question number one, and this is from Rajasthan. This is the weekly political tracker put out by Yashwant Deshmukh and his team at Sea Voter, which asks people in every state some specific questions about issues in that state. So we've picked out the part from Rajasthan which deals with how people perceive this government and what they think about the feud between Pilot and Gelhot. So question number one, how do people perceive the performance of the Ashok Gehlot run Congress government in Rajasthan? 39.1% of the respondents in the Sea Voter data at the moment say that they are very satisfied with the performance of the Rajasthan government. 3 in 10 say they are satisfied to some extent. 27.7% of the respondents say they are not satisfied at all and are likely to vote against the Rajasthan government of Ashok Gehlot. The net satisfaction in Rajasthan is at 40.9%. And in a short while from now, we'll compare the net satisfaction in Rajasthan with the other election-bound states. So that said, let me go across to Rahul Verma for his first thoughts on the level of satisfaction in Rajasthan with the government at this moment. It's not as low as some of the other states in the Sea Voter tracker which we look at, but it's not as if, like in Uttar Pradesh and some of the other states like Orissa, which have popular governments, that the government in Rajasthan is doing very well. So it's a very middling performance, bordering towards people being more unhappy than happy.
That's true, Rahul. This three-category question, which is that very satisfied, somewhat satisfied, and not satisfied at all, it's very easy to basically pick the first category, which is much more likely to vote for the incumbent, and the last category, which is likely to vote out the incumbent, right? And it's the middle category which is going to swing the election this way or that way. Most people in that category are less likely to vote for the government if the government performance is not, say, above 50-55%. And so in that sense, we'll know much more once you compare it with Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. What seems like in Rajasthan that the government is sort of like on an average performance, and two, if you compare it perhaps with the performance of the central government, it may seem that the performance of the state government is rated much below. So in that sense, Rajasthan seems to be basically not giving a very good news for the Congress.
Let me come to the second question. This is to do with Sachin Pilot's yatra and the damage this yatra may cause. So Sachin Pilot has been the rebel within. He's been raising questions about the performance of the Gelhot government. How much damage could this yatra cause? So if you look at the data that's coming out of the political tracker, Congress supporters, 3 out of 10 seem to think that the yatra will cause a lot of damage to the Congress government in the assembly elections later in the year. 16% of Congress supporters think it won't cause much damage. 45% of Congress supporters say it will cause no damage. BJP supporters, of course, would like to believe that the yatra will cause a lot of damage to the prospects of the Congress. But let's look at the overall numbers, because that's most crucial. 42% of the overall respondents in this sample said the yatra would cause a lot of damage. 18% said it won't cause much damage. 29% said there will be no damage. So clearly, this sense that it's not just the performance, Rahul Srivastav, of the Congress government in Rajasthan. The biggest issue frankly, is what happens with Sachin Pilot. And unless the Congress can somehow amicably resolve that, it seems the Congress in Rajasthan could be a sinking ship.
Rahul, if you recall 2018, we had those pictures of Rahul Gandhi and, the United Colors of Rajasthan element. Just when, after the meeting with Rahul Gandhi, Mallikarjun Kharge and others, we had Mr. Venugopal holding a small press conference, not many questions taken, with the Ashok Gelhot and Sachin Pilot. Not a word said by the two. Now,
And they were asked to speak and yet refused to speak.
They refused to speak. Now, interesting thing is that if you talk to any camp, they will very clearly tell you that a wallpaper has been put on the differences. Sachin Pilot today has reached Rajasthan back, and he's going back on what he was doing, virtually pressing on the demands. He has told the party high command there are 3 clear demands he has. One, the probe against Vasundhara Raje by the end of this month, that means June. The second is compensation to all the students who have lost the game because of the leaked papers. Now, he says that the leaked papers, he has told the party high command that the leaked papers are largely because of the State Public Service Commission and the corruption in that. Now, what he has told the party that the secretary's wife is a member. There are a lot of people, members whose wives and family members are a part of the State Public Service Commission. He wants all these demands to be met by the end of this month. Now, the problem is Gelhot is not ready to accept any of these demands. Gelhot has very clearly told the party high command that no place for Sachin Pilot or anybody at this last hour. There is going to be no compromise on that. That means that the deadlock continues. The Congress is just hoping things may get over. I think one interesting thing which I've learned from Congress sources is that Karnataka seems to be becoming a template for some reason in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, where the party high command is very enthused that we could do it through what are called the local issues, and hyper-local election can one win them. But this is a very divided house in Rajasthan.
No, but Siddaramaiah and Shiv Kumar were mature politicians. They were able to put up a pretense or a mask which had both of them appearing to be on the same page, even if within close quarters they were fighting it out on various issues. Here you've got a situation, Rashid Kidwai, where Sachin Pilot and Gelhot are daggers drawn. Gelhot lands in Delhi, starts speaking against the impracticality of Sachin Pilot's demands, and he's doing it even before he meets with the Congress High Command. He's asked to speak later, he refuses, Sachin Pilot refuses. Can the Congress pull off a Karnataka where they get both these leaders to work together, or are differences so deep now that it is almost inconceivable that they will be able to fight on the same team and are more likely to have some kind of a breakdown before November, December?
Yes, so Rahul, there is a realization in the Congress leadership that Mr. Sachin Pilot and Mr. Ashok Gehlot will continue to have differences of opinion. It will not be like what it was like Siddharamaiah and DK Shivkumar equation before elections. So the leadership has to administer some kind of bitter pill. Bitter pill means some kind of thing like, one proposal is that Sachin may be made state president much against the wishes of Mr. Ashok Gehlot or some other thing. So I think it is for Mr. Kharge to deliver that punch. And once he delivers, then the Congress will have to wait and see how it plays out. So therefore, I think in the meeting that took place earlier this week, a decision has been taken. Both leaders have authorized Rahul Gandhi, and Rahul Gandhi in turn has empowered in that sense Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge to take a call. So we get to see by the end of this week or later next week what happens next.
Ajay Kumar, this is quite embarrassing after the big victory in Karnataka to have your top guns in Rajasthan fight it out in the desert and be unable to put a lid on their differences. Both came out, both refused to speak, and it seems very clear that Sachin Pilot and Ashok Gehlot have a much worse relationship than Siddharamaiah and Shiv Kumar.
Rahul, I was just listening to the choice of words. I mean, and you're a friend, but it's very interesting that as far as the Congress is concerned, the India Today seems to say sinking ship. Two people who are, it is a gone case, etc., etc. So, and, I was just collecting your data. So first question is, we had the same story, you guys, I mean, at least some of you were telling on Karnataka and other states. I heard a previous speaker speak on satisfaction survey. So what I remember is, if I remember, noted down the numbers, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 39% just once I wrote it down.
39.1% are satisfied, that's correct.
And somewhat satisfied is how much?
Somewhat satisfied is 29.6%.
Yeah. So
not satisfied at all is 27.7%.
Yeah. So the question is, you want to trust the data? I mean, I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm here to defend the position. The question is that 40% satisfaction rate is a reasonably decent, satisfied with the government, very satisfied with the government or whatever it is decent by any standards in terms of, even if you look at across different organizations, different governments. To some extent satisfied is the people who you think would be, can be inclined to vote towards you. That pushes the number towards 60%. Now that is, leave it aside, how people are going to interpret it is for you guys to decide. The fact is that the Congress party is actively, whether it's Mr. Gandhi, whether it's Mr. Kharge, and everybody sat and had a long discussion. I was hearing Rahul speak on this, and everybody saying they didn't want to speak. Did you ask them, did they want to speak? But you assume that they didn't want to speak. That's also very okay with me, because that's your interpretation. But I'm amazed with the angle of the discussions, and it grieves me a little, and I apologize if my grief is very evident, for the simple reason. If you guys who are if you are all, and you are all experts on this stuff, can come onto TV and say that there's nothing happened, it was not resolved. There's so many things after 4 hours. You think 4-hour discussion is going to resolve all the issues?
Okay.
So there was a discussion, went into the details. The fact is that the Congress President, Mr. Gandhi, have actively taken it, and it will be resolved for sure. But my request is that and please show the same amount of grace for us, and show the same amount of what you call a telescopic sight for my political opponents on the other side. My question simple is that the Rajasthan government, by and large, with the social schemes, is popular. Okay. It is important for Mr. Pilot and Mr. Gelhot to resolve the issue. There's no debate on it. You're making assumptions that it has not been resolved.
Okay, I see the point that you're making, and there is some relevance to what Ajay Kumar says, because he says if you look at the very satisfied index, 39.1, and compare it with the Congress's vote share in the last election, which again was 39, it's the same. So the Congress vote bank, you can argue, if you look at the data from the perspective of Ajay Kumar, the Congress vote bank is intact. The others are on the fence, and about 27.7% are against. But in any case, they were always against us, because the BJP in the last election also had a 39% vote share. So there is some merit. He says, why look at the glass half empty? There is also the part of the glass that's half full. Now it's about you and what you want to pick. Shehzad Poonawalla is also asking questions about suggested differences in the BJP. The fact that there is the Vasundhara Raje issue, which the BJP still needs to settle. She's in the fray as your tallest leader, but not really projected. And therefore, while the Congress has public differences, the BJP has these unstated differences, and we saw with B.S. Yedurappa in Karnataka, even if the differences aren't proclaimed publicly, there was enough done by people close to Yedurappa behind the scenes for BJP candidates to lose on 12 seats. That's the reality. People who used to be in the BSY camp won on 12 seats. That's a reality the BJP is dealing with, and that's what Ajay Kumar is trying to throw at you.
Since I heard everybody very patiently, I hope I won't be interrupted.
Please.
First of all, just for my curiosity, Rahul, where does Sachin Pilot figure very much satisfied? Satisfied to some extent or not at all satisfied?
He'll not be satisfied.
Because I can tell you one thing, Rahul, I can tell you one thing. No matter what we may have in terms of, different leaders may have different views on serving the people. But in our party, nobody sits in dharna against their own government. And I don't think Vasundhara Raje ji or any other leader of the party has resorted to that kind of, I would say, political unchivalrousness.
Pull their effort.
Rahul, let me complete. You heard Ajay Kumar for a very long period of time. I thought Ajay would perhaps try to explain whether the promises made to the people of Rajasthan when 10 days mein kisan karj maafi hogi, ya paper leak ke khilaf karwai hogi. 15 papers have been leaked. Rajasthan template, Rahul said that, they're trying the Karnataka template in Rajasthan. Rahul, I would tell you the reverse. The Rajasthan template is now being set in Himachal, in Karnataka and Chhattisgarh, where who is the next Sachin Pilot is being asked. After the swearing in took place in Karnataka, you know how many people inside and outside were fighting. You know what H.K. Patil told D.K. Shivkumar, that no power sharing formula is going to take place. So these kinds of things are happening, and therefore...
But they're in power and you're in opposition.
That's right. In Karnataka, there's always a culture of changing the government. That culture exists in Rajasthan also.
That's true.
So they have to fight that. Secondly, what is the narrative with which they are going? When their own leaders are not convinced about the performance of the Rajasthan government, whatever satisfied, not satisfied. And last point, from the figures you have given us, if you see Madhya Pradesh...
No, I haven't given Madhya Pradesh away. Just because I gave you access to the data, you can't...
No, but I want to make a... I'm not letting out the number. I'm making a larger point. Madhya Pradesh has seen a BJP government for almost, give or take, 20 years now, right? 2 years they had a chance. In that time, our satisfaction rates are nearly the same or little more than what they have in 5 years, which means that in the normal anti-incumbency wala states, if this is the level of satisfaction they are able to generate, this means that this is all indications that Rajasthan government is changing, and it is changing primarily because Congress has given instability, corruption, and has given only politics of, appeasement in Rajasthan, nothing else, and therefore people are tired of them in Rajasthan.
So I want to come to the next question in the tracker, which is to do with Sachin Pilot's options. Let's take a look at what people in this Sea Water political tracker said were Sachin Pilot's options, or at least how they perceived Sachin's options. Now, should he form a new party? 20% of the overall respondents in the Sea Water tracker said he should be forming his own party. That's 2 out of 10 voters. 35% said he should join the BJP. That's very interesting. 3 plus out of 10 voters want him to join the BJP. 34% say he should stay in the Congress. Amongst BJP supporters, now this is interesting, 48% of BJP supporters want Sachin to come to the BJP like Jyotiraditya Scindia or some of the other Congress leaders who came. Congress supporters obviously don't want him to go, but on the average, if you look at it, opinion seems to be split. The majority want him to join the BJP, but that's just a very slim majority. About 1/3 want him to stay in the Congress, and 20% think he should form his own party. Sanjay Kumar, if you look at the political history of Rajasthan, it's been a state which largely has been bipolar. It swings the Congress way one time, the BJP way the other time. There hasn't been a third front. It's not like efforts haven't been made. Efforts have been made, but for some reason they haven't succeeded. Would someone, on the back of what you know best, would someone like a Sachin Pilot, in your view, be able to pull off a third front in a state like Rajasthan, or do you think he's better off biding his time, riding out the storm, letting Ashok Gehlot walk into the sunset, because the third front has never really worked in Rajasthan so far?
Rahul, I think Sachin Pilot's ability to form a third front in such a short span of time, only 6 months are there left for Rajasthan to go for polls. I think it would be a distant dream for Sachin Pilot. We have seen in the past, there are leaders who have been popular. We were discussing about Karnataka, and remember what happened in Karnataka when Yedurappa moved away from BJP, formed his own party. He was not able to win election on his own. He was capable of getting BJP defeated, but he could not set up a party which was formidable in Karnataka. I think similar situation exists in Rajasthan as well. If Sachin Pilot decides to move away from Congress, form his own government, he may be instrumental in getting Congress defeated. But I don't think he is in a position to form his own party and give both the parties a tough challenge, whether it is BJP or Congress. So I don't see that situation happening in Rajasthan.
Also remember, there's a larger trend at play, Rahul Verma, which is to do with elections in India becoming more and more bipolar. So whether it's a state like West Bengal, where it's now TMC versus BJP, Uttar Pradesh, BJP versus the Samajwadi Party, Karnataka now, JDS fading into the oblivion as the third front. In Uttar Pradesh, the BSP is fading into the oblivion. So elections largely seem to be becoming bipolar. So anything that Sachin Pilot tries to do, which involves setting up a third front, has a larger political trend which could play against it.
Rahul, that's true. You're absolutely right that in comparison to the past, more states have become bipolar.
Why is that happening in your view? Why?
Many reasons. But let me first answer your question on this. See, leaders are not prisoners of data and past. They create future. So there are also states which are becoming multipolar from being bipolar. A good example is Gujarat. A good example is Punjab, right? And so while it would be difficult for Sachin Pilot to mount a challenge by forming a new party and a third front, as Sanjay ji pointed out, especially given there is a short period of time, but also because it's a bipolar state. So in a bipolar state, to make it a triangular contest, it's a taller order for him to do that, but you can't rule out any of these things. The reason elections are becoming bipolar in most states has to do with the national party system changing, with the rise of BJP and consequent decline of the Congress, but also because settled pattern of competition such as alliances are breaking up, new parties are rising, some are declining, and so multiple reasons which leads to some of these things.
Okay. Rashid Kidwai, your best sense at this moment, how seriously is Sachin Pilot weighing the idea of setting up his own party? Is that something that he's actually actively thinking about, or is this just posturing and trying to cut a good deal because you got less than half a year to go in that much time to build up a party structure to do meaningfully well? Because if he sets up his party, puts up his candidates, ends up with only a handful of seats, it would be mighty embarrassing for him.
Absolutely. I think Rahul, Sachin Pilot is a very, I would say, a shrewd politician. He knows what is the situation in the ground. He understands that Congress needs him in Rajasthan and perhaps outside Rajasthan also, and the kind of treatment he's getting from the three members of the Gandhi family, as well as Mr. Kharge, the meeting we keep talking about, which was held. So Mr. Kharge apparently had pulled up, Ashok Gelhot that his government's performance is slightly on the decline, and while he had said he had described Mr. Sachin Pilot as a kind of asset. So now, if Sachin Pilot's question is that if at all is he an asset, then why is he not being used? Why his services are not being utilized? So this is the question. It remains overall a very internal matter of the Congress party. I don't think Sachin Pilot at this juncture of time in June 2023 is looking for a life outside Congress.
Also, Ajay Kumar, someone like you as well left the Congress, later came back. Part of this is just to do with the Congress's inability to keep bright talent on board, to engage with someone like you constantly, to ensure that, it's a lot of it is this human resource management. And the Congress, at least so far, has been really bad at this, which is why the likes of a Himanta Biswa Sarma, the likes of a Jyotiraditya Scindia have left your party. I mean, you went back, but these people haven't, and they've caused in the Northeast and in Madhya Pradesh significant damage to your party structure.
No, I think, look, Rahul, for my case, it was something I still, and if you remember, so it's not anything to do with me, but I think the leadership is phenomenally inclusive. There's no debate on that, and my letter is very clear on it. We might have different elements and part of it like any other party. But it would be very naive, Rahul, to look at it from a human resource perspective, for the simple reason is when we were in power, then we had no human resources challenges, right? And then suddenly when we are not in power, these human resources challenges seem to be insurmountable. So
no, but so many leaders weren't leaving the BJP even when they were much smaller and in the opposition.
I'll just complete now. My question again is, the majority of the leaders, if you look at the number of the Bharatiya Janata Party has got, I think, if I remember, around 100 odd members of parliament from across, from the Congress. Whether it's Madhya Pradesh, where Shahzad was saying that they're performing well, was they only performed when they were able to break it up or go on any place else, or what happened in Assam, any other state. But that's the phenomenal amount of engagement in the past few years. Now, if decency and access to leadership is the weakness of whether it is the Congress president or whether it's Mr. Gandhi or anybody else in the leadership, whether it's Priyanka ji or Venu ji, I don't know, the question is, every time you're not able to satisfy everyone's ambition, yes, those are challenges we face. But I definitely believe that the ability to speak up and to say that, because look, if you are able to, and let's put it from this perspective, and if you can indulge me for a couple of minutes. Let's
keep it short, 20 seconds, quickly, please.
Okay. So if we are able, in Karnataka, you have all the BJP guys jumping ship. Somehow the other, you are able to pick up these few leaders and say, look at the number of people who shifted ships across.
Okay, so your argument is, even if someone like a Vasundhara Raje is not happy with the way she's being treated, because it's not as democratic as the Congress, she can't speak out. At least in the Congress, if Gelhot has a problem or Sachin has a problem, they can speak it out.
Rahul, if that is the case, then why was Sachin Pilot's activities called anti-party by Sukhjinder Randhawa? In the spirit of democracy, they should have said it's perfectly legal and perfectly in the party interest. Secondly, he said, and I'm shocked Ajay Kumar made this disclosure, he said that when there's power, there's no so-called human resource problem. He's saying, therefore, that the Congress leaders are all power hungry. Our party does not face such kind of problems is because we have an ideological base and we have a leadership. And that is why we are together. And secondly, look at the times when we were not in power, and we have been in the opposition for the longest period of time. But our leaders did not walk away.
Some left, but it never worked out.
Some left. Of course, some people are always going to. For instance, Mr. Jagdish Shettar left. But the reason why overwhelmingly this problem is not seen, and this problem is seen in the Congress when it was at the peak of power. Most of the fights in the Congress and the splits in the Congress have taken place in 60s and 70s, when even Mr. Antony, etc. have left. This is because in Congress it is INC, I need chair. And there is no I need commitment to ideological persuasion.
But the bigger difference from a data perspective is when a Congress leader leaves Ajay Kumar, he tends to take his karyakartas and his structure with him. When a BJP leader were to leave, he's not able to carry the party karyakarta and the voter with him. It happened in the case of Yedurappa, but in the case of the likes of Kalyan Singh, Uma Bharti, it failed. They left, but they couldn't succeed outside the BJP, so they ultimately had to come back.
See, look, a lot of people have left us and come back. I mean, and I like Mr. Poonawala's acronyms and all that, commitment, big words and all that. The Bharatiya Jumla Party and Jhuta Party will continue to tell these kind of statements. But I'm just coming to the point is, they're disemboweled at the, Madhya Pradesh, the people who are leaving their party right now, Karnataka, they're leaving. How many of them have left all across? In Bengal, whole party BJP shifted back to the TMC. So it's quite, interesting when they come and try to create a narrative. The narrative is that one sec, sir. They have a guy called Brij Bhushan Singh in the parliament sitting there and wants to get rid of POSCO, and he came from the Samajwadi Party, if I remember. So this kind of stuff. Look, there have been people who have been fluid for political gains. That's their own cross to bear. The fact is that this is, I don't know if any of your political experts who are on the panel today would have seen that the kind of engagement, whether it's Karnataka, whether it's the Rajasthan issue to be resolved, they've been following Congress. And it is a very positive change. I'm telling you, watching from the sideline, you might say that there's a lot of work to be done, but I'll tell you something. That there is Rajasthan is going to, I told it on a previous show, some other show, is going to surprise you. You will see it, and I'm very sure that Sachin, Mr. Pilot and Mr. Gelhot will find
let's see. The Congress was able to pepper over its differences, Rahul. In Karnataka, are differences between Sachin and Gelhot so deep that the Karnataka model can't be followed in Rajasthan, or can it?
No, Rahul, you were absolutely right the first time when I was speaking. You see, the differences are too deep. And I will first, because, every time one speaks about Congress, nowadays, we should speak about BJP first, because otherwise people object that you're not balancing. The BJP has a problem. I think BJP's bigger problem is what happened in Karnataka, that a tall old leader was pushed to the backgrounds and the BJP couldn't recover. Again, in Rajasthan, similar problem. And now it could well happen in Madhya
But it
Pradesh
depends
also.
on how they'll handle
How they handle it. The bigger problem is that BJP has a much better system where the top leadership is powerful. You recall in 2009 when Vasundhara was asked to move from the LOP's post in Rajasthan, she brought her MLAs to Delhi and it took Rajnath Singh a tremendous amount of effort to control that rebellion. But
that
now
time
the
there was no
leadership,
Modi and Shah.
now Modi Shah are a different ball game altogether, although they have 3-4 candidates for chief minister post and there is one dark horse also. Sachin Pilot's problem is different, Rahul. After that 2020 rebellion, and then what Ashok Gelhot managed when the party high command sent the now president of the party to hold a meeting of the MLAs, a parallel meeting was organized in Jaipur and Mallikarjun Kharge couldn't do anything. Gelhot has managed to establish this fact that he can bring down the government before the elections. Now what Sachin Pilot fears is the party president in the state, Dutasra, is a Gelhot loyalist. By the time it comes down to ticket distribution, Gelhot will corner all the tickets. If Sachin had 19 loyal MLAs last time when he staged a rebellion, he may not be left with anybody after the elections. So Sachin has to make a decision about himself.
What's he thinking according to you?
Rahul, I think the idea of launching a party is not closed. I think...
but he can't pull it off in 6 months. It's inconceivable.
See, it's very difficult. It's very difficult.
To have the finances. He doesn't come from a business background.
I am watching something that is happening in a political advisory company. There are new teams being formulated.
In IPEC.
And one will have to wait and see. They have started something what is called a North India project. One will wait and see that who are the targets. I hear Rajasthan and Haryana.
May I just add one line, very quick line. What Rahul said is that if you heard what Mr. K.C. Venugopal said, he said, "Ye मामला हमने high command पे छोड़ दिया है." The high command was in charge when they were trying to effect a leadership change in September.
See,
what
also,
happened
Rahul,
that time? The high command was
Gandhi's. Sachin Pilot may become chief
He
minister.
still wants Sachin to get a good deal.
Get a good deal. So when the high command is failing,
the problem is Gelhot doesn't want it, and the high command can't enforce its writ.
the threat of Sachin is smaller than the Gehlot's threat. Simple. That's the equation in Rajasthan.
So let's look just for a moment at some of the other questions from the C-Voter tracker for Rajasthan. This is on the Gelhot Raje bonhomie and how this impacts Vasundhara Raje Scindia. Remember, Ashok Gehlot's made a few comments about how the Vasundhara Raje helped save the government when Sachin had rebelled. So would this bonhomie impact Vasundhara Raje? 47% of the respondents are saying yes, 51% of BJP respondents are saying yes, it will impact Vasundhara Raje, 24% say no. What do people make of the Gehlot Modi friendly statements? Remember, unlike some of the Congress leaders who've been taking very strong positions on questions of Gautam Adani, on questions of the central government, Ashok Gehlot's been more ambivalent. He doesn't seem to be quite in disagreement with the government in the way that someone like Rahul Gandhi is. So he's now very, he's separating himself from the kind of positions that RG is taking. So what do people make of this? Can Gehlot join the BJP? 24% say yes, but I think that's just in a manner of asking and a manner of speaking. That's quite difficult for it to happen. Is it just a courtesy statement, which is what 61% of the respondents are saying, that he was friendly just as a courtesy statement, not because they had any real intention of joining the BJP. Let me put this question to Rahul Verma, Vasundhara Raje Scindia, and comparing her with someone like a Yedurappa, the similarities, the dissimilarities, and the ability of Vasundhara Raje to hurt the BJP if she doesn't get a good deal. There is no indication at this moment, with just 6 months to go, that Vasundhara Raje will be given any pride of place. How is she most likely to react, and what impact could that have on the BJP's fortunes?
See, Rahul, it's a hard question to answer how she will react, but I can definitely reflect on what impact will it happen on BJP's prospects in Rajasthan. I think minimal. The reason is twofold. One, for most rebellions in BJP, whenever people have walked out of the party, they have not been able to take the base of the party with them. The one exception would be Yedurappa, who managed to get 9 or 10% votes for himself in 2013 in Karnataka. And the reason Yedurappa could do that because he was one of the architects of BJP in Karnataka. Plus, he comes from a community which has a very solid vote base and has been voting for the BJP, right? So he basically mobilized his entire community or a large part of his community against the BJP and for himself. Unfortunately for Vasundhara Raje, she's not that kind of community leader, and she does not have that kind of control or command over a Rajasthan BJP organization. She has been basically pushed to margins for now many years, and this is not to say she's not an important leader and all that, but I don't think even if she sort of like is made to sit back, her reactions or her movement away from the party is going to damage their prospects.
In
Second
the
point,
Rajasthan elections, the BJP had 39% of the vote share. In 2013, they had 45% of the vote share. Rahul Srivastav, how much of that 39% could be imperiled if Vasundhara Raje isn't treated well? Rahul Verma seems to suggest that the damage could be very minimal.
See, the BJP has such a structure. See, Kalyan Singh rebelled, finished. Uma Bharti rebelled. Today she is complaining on ordinary things in Madhya Pradesh. You don't have BJP leaders rebelling and really growing out because the BJP is not, it knows it rides on its shoulders of a system called RSS. Once that system withdraws, BJP leaders find it very difficult. Then there is a huge ideological positioning. If you're not part of it, then you're gone. But whereas the Congress, you have success stories all over. Hemant Biswa Sarma, you've got Jagan, you've got so many other leaders, Mamta Banerjee. Now, in that scenario, yes, it is true. Vasundhara Raje is a strong factor, Rahul. You can't deny her. I think Vasundhara Raje has been acting very differently from what Vasundhara Raje used to be. There is a sense of, one can see that there is a bit of desperation. There is no clarity till now that she is going to be the chosen one. And the BJP part is keeping everything very open-ended. But there is one factor which I will like always to remember. With Sachin Pilot, somebody like a Sachin Pilot and a Congress party gearing itself, targeting Vasundhara Raje for a probe, will Vasundhara Raje and her supporters like the Congress to come back to power?
Rahul, may I just
Yes.
Rahul, don't mind me saying this, I'm not trying to sound holier than thou. The Congress party is a party of individual leaders. And therefore, when an individual leader leaves the party fold, he is still potent. The BJP, on the other hand, is a party-first-driven kind of a system where leaders are actually propelled by the party and the ideology. I'm not trying to make honey and motherhood statements. This is a true fact. So therefore, the tallest leaders of the BJP are the leaders of the BJP because they represent that party structure and the ideological foundation of that party. And therefore, for you to say, first of all, the leaders don't rebel in that manner. And we are being very uncharitable to Vasundhara Ji. She has made no such statement to impute such kinds of motives, etc. to her. She has been a disciplined party soldier for the party for so many years. I think that is just unfair to keep targeting somebody like that. But having said that, it is very difficult in the BJP to even rebel like that or to become successful after their rebellion. Please see what is Jagdish Shettar ji now. He could not manage to win even his own assembly seat. Did Mr. Jagdish Shettar win?
Okay, I want to put this one other question out about who's the biggest BJP face in Rajasthan. This is the serious challenge that the BJP faces. They would want someone like Gajendra Singh Shekhawat to come out and be the new generation BJP leadership. But on the question of who people think is the number one face among BJP supporters, Vasundhara Raje is still at 38%, Gajendra Singh Shekhawat at 18%. Overall, Vasundhara Raje at 37%, Gajendra Singh Shekhawat at 15%, Satish Punia at 11%. Sanjay Kumar, therein lies the BJP's challenge, that the central leadership, for valid reasons, may want to look ahead, but in the state, as was the case in Karnataka with Yedurappa, Vasundhara Raje Scindia remains the number one choice for Chief Minister, or at least to be projected as the BJP's local face.
See, comparing Rajasthan and Karnataka would be difficult in this respect, because in Karnataka BJP was the ruling party, and when people were doing the surveys in Karnataka, even the sitting chief minister was rated very badly, much lower compared to the present chief minister Siddaramaiah. This is about Rajasthan, where BJP is not the ruling party, and when this question is being asked, people are rating Vasundhara Raje much higher compared to the other leaders who are, in your opinion, the choice of the central leadership. I think I won't disagree that, you know, Vasundhara Raje seems to be more popular because of a couple of factors. One, she has been the chief minister, and you get some advantage being the chief minister of the state for 5 years. So that memory is with the people. But I think the other leaders are not active in Rajasthan. They are from Rajasthan. They are active in the central politics. That is why their ratings are lower compared to Vasundhara Raje Scindia. So I think if you go by the people's choice, yes, at the moment people of Rajasthan believe it is Vasundhara Raje Scindia who is the most popular leader, and their preference would be for Vasundhara Raje to be the chief minister. But now it's for the BJP to decide whether they want to have someone projected as the chief ministerial face or not, whether they want to go by the people's choice, or whether they want to go by people's wishes, or they want to take the decision in an administrative manner, sitting in the room and deciding who should be the face of BJP for the 2020.
Rahul, how they like to deal with this issue? Would they build up someone like a Gajendra Singh Shekhawat and push him forward, or would they accept post Karnataka that you have to treat Vasundhara Raje gently? If you are too rough, she could set it out, and that would hurt the BJP's prospects in some seats.
Exactly, Rahul. That's the issue. See, the problem is that we have a lot of names coming. We have Vasundhara Raje, Shekhawat, Ganesh Shekhawat, even Ashwini Vaishnav, Satish Punia, and there is one dark horse, ex-IAS officer, whose name is also doing the round. But I think post Karnataka, a lot has changed. I think in the assessment of the BJP, there is an idea now that you need to treat your own regional satraps with greater amount of dignity and respect, because if you don't, you lose ground. And I think that will go in favor of somebody like a Vasundhara or a Shivraj Singh Chauhan, because the BJP realizes that it cannot totally fight elections on Narendra Modi, especially assembly elections in states like this. And since somebody like a Prime Minister Modi may not be fully on ticket in these two states, he's very popular in Lok Sabha. I think that may definitely, that has already forced a rethink in the BJP about Vasundhara Raje Scindia. So he's not out in the woods yet.
But Rashid Kidwai, the counter to this is that Karnataka is different because Yedurappa literally built the structure himself. In Rajasthan, Vasundhara Raje is their biggest face, but the structure may remain intact even if she were to leave or sit it out or sulk. The counter, the third theory, of course, is that she could possibly tacitly set up candidates who could damage the BJP's prospects. And remember, Rajasthan elections have typically, and I'll just put out the set about the vote share from the past, Rajasthan elections have typically been close. In the last elections, both the BJP and the Congress had 39% vote share each, even though the Congress's seat share was much higher. The Congress had 100 seats out of 200, the BJP only 73. But in terms of vote, both their vote share was equal. So after having lost Karnataka, in a state where there's only a bipolar fight, nobody wants to take a panga, or will they?
Absolutely, Rahul, you're spot on. As far as Vasundhara Raje is concerned, the BJP and Sachin in Congress, the state, BJP and the Congress, they cannot, wish them away. They are there to stay. They have support base. They have the ability to make them win or make them lose. So I don't think that is on the cards. The only thing is if BJP gets 120, 130, 140 kind of, mandate, then obviously they would have a wider choice and they can bring in anyone. But as things stand today, both Mr. Sachin Pilot and Vasundhara Raje, respectively, they're very well entrenched in the state politics, and they cannot be, kind of removed. And they have, I think, both of them have no desire to leave their respective parties and all. They are there to stay. But another very interesting thing is that they're totally poles apart. So there is no possibility of, a lot of proximity. If you go to Jaipur, everyone talks about a kind of tacit understanding between Vasundhara Raje and Ashok Gelhot. But there is a total kind of, very sharp dividing line between Vasundhara Raje and Sachin Pilot. So that's the long and short of
both parties have a lot to think about. The Congress more so, their fight is out in the open. In the BJP, there is this subterranean kind of tension which the party could deal with, or it could hurt the party, that we don't know. But we've covered a lot of ground. There has been no halla gulla, shor sharaba, tu me, which is great, which is how I like to run the show. There's focus on data, there's focus on deep quality analytics, and you've heard from sharp analysts and they put out their perspectives. We'll deal with Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh next week. So we'll have from now up till the general elections of 2024 as frequently as possible, looking at different data sets emerging from the agencies. This political stock exchange, Sanjay Kumar and his team at CSDS keep doing a lot of work. Rahul Verma and his team at CPR oftentimes come up with interesting studies. So we look at that, give it a platform, try and put it in context to help you understand Indian politics better in a more deeper fashion. Thank you all for joining us. We'll slip into a break. I'll have more for you when we come back on the other side. Back in a moment. Stay with us. You're watching the India Today Newstrack Political Stock Exchange.
Where the software engineer meets the cool UI UX designer, meets the gifted content writer to create the big dream. The world comes together at Sharda University. So where are you?
Quality today. In Delhi, 107. In Mumbai, 84. In Kolkata, 119. In Bangalore, 36. In Chennai, 132. In Hyderabad, 65.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mode.
You're on board the Newstrack. More sensational revelations have emerged in the Delhi stabbing horror case. Sahil, the 20-year-old AC mechanic who stabbed 16-year-old Sakshi to death, had planned the murder. Sahil has reportedly told the police that it is indeed him in the CCTV video stabbing Sakshi.
Before stabbing her 20 times and smashing her head 6 times with a slab of stone, Sahil Khan plotted the cold-blooded murder and called Sakshi to the crime spot and waited to ambush her. When Sakshi arrived, Sahil went on a stabbing spree and crushed her head multiple times in full public glare as passers-by looked on. The preliminary investigation reveals a breakup drove Sahil to kill Sakshi. Sahil was furious as Sakshi went back to her earlier boyfriend Praveen. Sahil confronted Sakshi on the breakup before murdering her. After the murder, Sahil switched off his phone to dodge the police and fled to UP's Bulandshahr. He threw away the murder weapon, a knife, in Delhi's Rithala area.
बताया जा रहा है कि साहिल मैकेनिक का काम करता था, जबकि सरफराज जो उसके पिता हैं वो बढ़ई का काम करते थे, दरवाजा खिड़कियां ये सब बनाने का काम वो किया करते थे। फिलहाल पुलिस साहिल से लगातार पूछताछ कर रही है और ये पता लगाने की कोशिश कर रही है कि आखिर इस वारदात को अंजाम देने की प्लानिंग उसने कब रची थी।
Sahil has now admitted to killing Sakshi during interrogation by the police.
साइंटिफिक इन्वेस्टिगेशन पे पूरा जोर है, कोशिश कर रहे हैं सारे जितने भी इसमें हम लोग को एविडेंसेस मिल पाएं वो सब हम लोग जुगाड़ रहे हैं। फर्दर इन्वेस्टिगेशन इज ऑन इट्स।
Sakshi, continuously harassed by Sahil, had confided in one of her friends and had urged him to help her.
साक्षी ने यही बोला, मैं 20 बार बता चुका हूँ कि मेरे को एक लड़का टॉर्चर कर रहा है, भाई में थोड़ी मेरी मदद करो। तो मैं तो उसकी मदद ही करने गया था। हाँ। उस लड़के को समझाने ही गया था।
कहाँ मिला था साहिल आपको?
यहीं पर ही जहाँ पे मर्डर हुआ है।
जहाँ पे मर्डर
पहले भी वहीं मिला था।
अच्छा,
वहीं पर उसी ने बुलाया था।
While plotting Sakshi's murder, Sahil had been chatting with multiple girls. The police are probing if this was the reason for Sakshi breaking up with him.
इस कातिल को हर हाल में अगले 6 महीने के अंदर अंदर फांसी की सजा होनी चाहिए। इसके ऊपर सरकार को काम करना चाहिए, कोर्ट्स को काम करना चाहिए।
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has promised strict action for the gruesome murder.
उसको कठोर से कठोर सजा दिलाने के लिए दिल्ली सरकार जो है कोर्ट के अंदर बड़े से बड़ा वकील खड़ा करेगी।
आज मैं एलजी साहब से हाथ जोड़ के निवेदन करना चाहती हूँ कि देश के संविधान ने आपको दिल्ली की कानून व्यवस्था की, दिल्ली की सुरक्षा व्यवस्था की जिम्मेदारी दी है, लेकिन आप अब 24 घंटे सिर्फ और सिर्फ राजनीति करने में लगाते हैं, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के काम रोकने में लगाते हैं। अगर आप अपनी संवैधानिक जिम्मेदारी निभाएं तो आज दिल्ली में ये स्थिति नहीं होगी।
The BJP, however, is calling it a case of love jihad, pointing to Sahil wearing a Hindu sacred thread or kalava.
अगर कलावा घर में खानदान में कोई नहीं पहनता लेकिन बेटी को फंसाने के लिए कलावा पहन के आता है, इसका मतलब प्यार नहीं, जिहाद है।
Sakshi's parents have sought capital punishment for Sahil. Will Sakshi get justice in death? With Himanshu Mishra in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
This is where we wrap up the Newstrack tonight. For your time and your trust, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you at 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Till then, from all of us here, goodbye, good night.
Let's give you a sense of the kind of fruits that you should be eating during this time. Watermelon is a fruit commonly found in India in summers. It can prevent dehydration and help in cooling the body. Cucumbers contain a high amount of water. High in fiber, it can help relieve constipation. It's a fantastic summer companion. Curd, an excellent dairy product that can be included in your diet in various forms. Citrus fruits, rich in vitamin C and help in hydration. They act as a cooling agent. They include oranges, lemons, limes, grapefruit and other citrus fruits. Coconut water. Indian summers are synonymous with our regular nariyal pani. It hydrates your body, balances the temperature, generates electrolytes and helps in cooling. Buttermilk contains probiotics, vitamins and minerals that helps your body cool in hot temperatures. Lemon juice rich in vitamin C can help lower body temperature. It moisturizes and oxygenates the body, helps in improving the energy levels.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
I want to know your thoughts on collaborating with them as creators in general. Like, how much do you work on when the script comes to you, right? As a director, what is your approach to it? Do you discuss certain scenes with them? Do you try to alter, if at all you feel that, okay, this could be done differently? Do you discuss with them? How does it usually happen?
Right. So with Dahad, when the script came to me, it was already in a very ready and completed state. So there was actually very little for me to do in terms of scripting. It was already, Rima and the writers had already worked on it. But yes, after that, as a director, there are, of course, some things that, you know, some small changes, certain things, you know, there are always a little bit, you feel that a certain scene can be removed, something else can be added, little bit of that. And Rima was very open to that, like whatever ideas if I had, I would share it with her, and she was very open to my inputs coming in, where she felt that some changes would interfere with the larger theme of the story, then you know, so it's a collaborative process, and I think we all worked together. I mean, we decided to work together because at some level we trust each other's vision, and with that implicit trust, you know, you just go forward and
I'm so happy that there's these strong women voices behind a story like this, you know, because again, like I have to say this, it's not surprising because that is what we expect out of you eventually, you know. One of the dialogues which really I loved is when the person on the bike just says that, you know, Lady Singham. Because I know that, you know, although it looks like he's complimenting her, it's not a compliment. It's one of, like you said, certain things which we as women know that this is not supposed to be a compliment. This is like a backhand compliment.
It's a backhand compliment because the minute you see someone in control, or you see someone in a position of power, you immediately make them male.
Yeah. You have to put it in context with man. Like, you know, you're just saying you're just saying Singham hai, lekin ye because she's a woman in uniform, then she's Lady Singham. So I loved that because these are small things which we as people.
No, I think we also added that, you know, because we did do a bit of research and we met some police women, you know, women who were cops and stuff, and I do remember one of them saying that, you know, when they're going home on the train, because they're in uniform, people pass comments. And I found that funny because, I mean, you're teasing a cop.
Yeah.
Who are you going to stop at now?
Exactly. Yeah. No, but these subtleties is what I absolutely love, but that could also be a little challenging, right?
Sorry.
Co-presented by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist.
Co-presented by Kentaro, जो देता है सबसे शुद्ध पानी. Co-presented by JK Tyre Ranger Series. Stay wild at heart.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today. This is your primetime destination. News, newsmakers, talking points. Tonight, the big dramatic talking point. Are India's protesting wrestlers now losing complete faith in the system? This on a day when they threaten to throw their medals into the Ganga. That's going to be a big talking point. Also, Manipur's unrest. Should Chief Minister Birender Singh be held accountable? All that and more. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. High drama as protesting wrestlers now threaten to immerse their medals in the Ganga in Hardwar. Give a 5-day ultimatum to arrest MP Brij Bhushan. BKU leader Naresh Tiket stops the immersion of the medals. A Congress delegation led by party chief Mallikarjun Kharge meets president over Manipur violence. Home Minister Amit Shah orders stringent action against elements disturbing peace in the state. We'll have a ground report. Explosive details of the ED charge sheet in the liquor probe. ED claims Manish Sisodia changed phones even after the CBI lodged the case. Accused Vijay Nair reportedly arm-twisted manufacturers using Punjab government machinery. Inside details of Delhi's demonic crime probe. Sakshi's murder was reportedly pre-planned. Accused Sahil chatted with multiple girls while he plotted the murder. A day after photo op, no sign of a real breakthrough in the pilot Gelhot battle in Rajasthan. Pilot wants the Congress leadership to provide a clear roadmap in the election year. After NCRT's Mughal purge from textbooks, now the chapter on Khalistan demand also to be removed. Lashkar proxy kills a Hindu worker in Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag as he was out in the market. Mehbooba Mufti slams the centre over what she claims is deteriorating law and order. Actor Randeep Huda's tweet stirs a row, says Savarkar inspired Bose and Bhagat Singh. Netaji Bose's family dismisses Huda's claim. The actor will play Savarkar in a film. And after the spectacular CSK win, Dhoni triggers speculation over his future, indicates he may play another season if he's fit enough. But first to the story that's breaking at the moment. The United World Wrestling Federation has issued a strong statement threatening to suspend the Wrestling Federation of India, condemning the manner in which wrestlers were detained. The World Wrestling Body has expressed disappointment over the manner in which the investigation has taken place against Member of Parliament and former WFI President Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. The World Body has threatened to suspend India if full and free WFI elections are not held within 45 days. Sources have been saying that the WFI polls will be held soon and the dates will be announced next week. So the pressure clearly is building up, with the World Wrestling Body also now getting involved. Now remember, all of this is coming at a time when the wrestlers were detained on Sunday as they threatened to march towards the new Parliament building. But now more high drama has taken place on the ghats of the river Ganga in Hardwar, where today the sporting heroes threatened to immerse their hard-earned medals into the Ganga. That was stopped because BKU, the Bharatiya Kisan Union leaders, also came there and stopped the wrestlers from going ahead with the immersion. But the wrestlers have issued a 5-day ultimatum and demanded the arrest of BJP MP and Wrestling Federation of India Chief Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, insisting that he is a perpetrator of sexual harassment. Our top story today is on the latest twist in the wrestlers' protest.
Olympic medalists who brought glory to India dragged and detained. After they broke barricades and scuffled with cops for stopping them from marching to the new parliament on Sunday during its unveiling. Protesting wrestlers were charged with rioting, unlawful assembly and obstructing cops, but were released by evening. Cops in their FIR say the wrestlers ignored their pleas to stop the march as it could hit national prestige.
इनके खिलाफ जो भी लीगल एक्शन होना है वह नई दिल्ली डिस्ट्रिक्ट ले रही है, क्योंकि ये हमारे लिए बहुत गलत है कि वो वाला दिन और वो वाला समय जब हमारी सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज हमारे नए पार्लियामेंट के उद्घाटन में बिजी थी, तब इन्होंने ये सब करने की कोशिश की है जिसकी उनको कोई परमिशन नहीं थी.
Wrestler Sakshi Malik narrated the ordeal and said the wrestlers are now tired.
हम पैदल चल रहे थे तो उन्होंने आगे से पुशिंग स्टार्ट कर दी कि नहीं आगे जाने देंगे. पुशिंग में फिर ऐसे उन्होंने जबरदस्ती हमें डिटेन करने की कोशिश की. हमने भी थोड़ा सा रोकने की कोशिश की कि हमें मत लेके जाओ, हम शांतिपूर्वक मार्च करेंगे, हमारी बात तो सुनो, हम कोई हिंसा नहीं कर रहे, हम किसी को मार भी नहीं रहे.
Reacting to the FIR, Vinesh Fogart claimed a new history was being written.
लड़कियों की आप अंदर डिटेन करके रख रहे हो, हम कोऑपरेट करें हर तरीके से. आपने जो किया वो तो पूरे देश ने देख ही लिया है, जो हमारा मान सम्मान बढ़ा है वो तो देख ही लिया है.
The opposition claimed high-handed action against India's top athletes.
भाजपा का नारा एक्सपोज हुआ ना इस बात पे, जो बेटियों का साथ देने की बात करते थे, बेटियों के सम्मान की बात करते थे. आपने देख लिया क्या सम्मान किया भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने. ये केवल दिखावटी नारे थे भारतीय जनता पार्टी के, और दिखावटी नारे इसलिए.
This was of course 2 days ago. What happened today? Well, those are the scenes that you can see in Hardwar, where the wrestlers today threatened to throw their medals into the Ganga, and they were then eventually stopped by BKU president or one of the office bearers, Naresh Tiket. The various Kisan unions joined in, and in an expression of solidarity said that they would stand with the wrestlers, but they should not throw their medals into the river. All of this has led to several questions. Has the wrestlers' protest gone out of control? Are the wrestlers losing faith in the system? Should they be showing patience? Why is Brij Bhushan Saran Singh being shielded? And if he is, who is doing so? Those are some of the questions we want to raise tonight. We'll also play out why the wrestlers said that they would throw their medals into the Ganga in a moment. But joining me now is a panel of people who've tracked sports for years. Pradeep Magazine, senior sports journalist, joins me. Nikhil Naz, our consulting editor here, who tracks sport for us at India Today. Vikrant Gupta, managing editor, Sports Tak and Sports Aaj Tak, is with us. Neeru Bhatia is a senior sports journalist. And Preeti Chaudhary is joining me. She's tracked this wrestlers' protest for several weeks now. I appreciate all of you joining us, and I'm going to ask you all that simple question. Do you think the wrestlers were justified in threatening to actually throw their medals into the Ganga? Preeti Chaudhary, why don't you take it first? We'll then come to all the sports journalists.
You know, I think the bigger question, Rajdeep, is that were the wrestlers justified in holding a protest on the day where the parliament was to be inaugurated, the new building, and, you know, justified to throw their medals into the Ganga? It's ultimately, if you look at it, they wanted to immerse it in the Ganga. It's not just their medals for them, because we've been speaking to them as well. It's their entire career in that one box. Now, what does a wrestler aspire to do? Somebody who finishes at the podium at the highest level. You know, this is their sheer hard work, you know, sweat, blood, pain, joy, all of that put together. It was an emotional decision. Of course, it was an emotional decision that they had taken. But what's interesting is on what really went down in the end. So you had somebody like a Naresh Tiket, who here in the capacity, Rajdeep, has intervened not so much as the head of the Bharatiya Kisan Union, but also as the head of one of the most influential and powerful cups when you come down to it. He heads the Balian Cup. His word has writ. And he is also...
No, but is this Nautanki? There will be those who will say this is all stage-managed drama to take eyeballs. The athletes should remain athletes. This is not for them to stage these kind of protests. How do you see that?
No, in their defense, what is it that the wrestlers always say? That for about 2.5 months, they did try to negotiate with the government. They did make it very clear that they will not allow their dais, their podium to be used by political outfits or even outfits like the Bharatiya Kisan Union or the Khap Panchayats. They said that we've waited our time, we have lost patience, and you've got to give them the benefit of doubt, because it's 37 days. They are squatting at Jantar Mantar. What has really happened? It took 7 days for the Supreme Court to intervene for an FIR to be filed. It took several other
But how
days.
can you set a deadline that 5 days you've got to arrest him, otherwise we'll throw our medals into the Ganga? It's blackmail.
But has the government even batted an eyelid? Has anyone till now? 37 days. It's led up to it. Why aren't you looking at their fight on what it's been? It's been 37 days in the making, Rajdeep.
And why has he not been questioned as yet?
Yeah.
I mean, let alone
You're saying why Brij Bhushan Saran Singh not being questioned?
Yes, the charges are POSCO, right? He needs to be questioned for that. That's what the wrestlers are saying. That's all right. That, the law needs to take the due process, that's all right. What the wrestlers are asking, why isn't that you've even called him once to even question him? If you remember, going back to that time, they refused to even register an FIR against him. So that will raise the questions. Then you have the other issues. I agree that on that day of the parliament, they were marching ahead and the police had no option but to hold them. But what you said, it is Nautanki, but what is the option that is left for the wrestlers? We live in a world of event management, right? Where only event management allows you some sort of coverage. They've figured that out. They've realized that we need to do event management, only then will our voice be heard.
Okay, I'm sure where Vikrant Gupta comes in, because he's been very clear in a tweet that I saw, Vikrant. You believe that wrestlers simply should not be even considering throwing their medals away, because they are playing with not just the medals and their reputation, but with the country who you believe has contributed to their rise.
No, they won the medals. I mean, and these are Olympic medals. In the case of Bajrang and Sakshi, yes. Vinesh hasn't won an Olympic medal.
But she's won a world championship.
Yeah, she's been a world champion. So these medals do belong to them. They belong to the country as well.
But they have the right to throw the medals if they believe that the system has failed them. They have every right to throw them away.
But, okay, my point is, they were taken to the brink. And Preeti is right. The government did not bat an eyelid. My point is, till 6 p.m., I may have been with them. And I sincerely never hoped that they'll immerse the medals into the Ganga. I thought maybe, somebody would intervene, but not Naresh Tikath. How can you give your medals to Naresh Tikath?
You're saying that it is a sign how the movement is getting politicized.
You cannot give your medals to a third person. And what is the guarantee now? If he says 5 days, will something happen? What happens to the medals then?
So there is one view, of course, that this is well-planned optics. The other view, of course, is that they are playing with the emotions of millions of fans who respect them for what they've achieved on the field. Where do you stand, Pradeep Magazine? Do you believe that the wrestlers have been pushed to the brink by a system that is not batting an eyelid?
Well, Rajdeep, I'm surprised that there should be any other opinion about this. What is the law of the land? The law of the land is if women allege of sexual harassment, especially a minor, an FIR is immediately to be registered. And Brij Bhushan has been charged with a crime which is non-bailable. There is immediate arrest for that, regardless of what politics they are playing or not playing. First of all, this fact everyone knows. So why is this man, who happens to be an influential member of the ruling party, not being even questioned, as Nikhil was saying? I am not aware of it, whether he is being questioned or not. But the way he is moving around, threatening people, there is a video which your channel also, I think, showed, where he has admitted openly that I have killed a man. And what are we debating? Who's on which side, who's not? Now, let's come to the second point. Olympic winners, people celebrated, people of India, women are alleging this. These were the people whom Prime Minister Modi called home and said that he's proud of them. If I remember correctly, he even said that if you people have any problem, I am there for you. Now to say that they are playing politics, they may be. What choice? We have left them so helpless. Can you imagine a country where women and that too women of that stature are crying and saying that this is what they have followed the law of the land, and nobody is listening to them. And what kind of a country is this? Why should we be even debating that whether they are playing politics or not? When we say they are playing politics, we are actually saying that they are lying. Why should they lie? They have staked their entire career. I don't see any future for them. We have such rare few medals, not even handful of Olympic medals. What are we talking here?
Okay, let's get Neeru Bhatia in also. Neeru, do you go along with the fact that the wrestlers have been pushed to the brink, and what they've done is basically drawn attention to the fact that someone who's been in power, control the wrestling federation, is accused of sexual harassment and worse?
I completely agree that they have been pushed to the brink. They've been sitting and they've been demanding justice for so long, and nobody gave a damn. Other than a few handful of the sporting community and the cops, who's been actually supporting them? Who? Nobody. I mean, Abhinav Bindra and the others have been supporting them on Twitter and on social media and saying we support their cause, but who's been actually supporting them? They've not been heard. Then the government has not blinked, and he's part of the ruling party, and he's a powerful man. Fair enough. And the government this government is also very mindful of the fact that nobody should upset their apple cart while going into elections. But the fact is that why would they say all these things if and put everything at stake?
Let's try and understand that. Why is it that no cricketer, Anil Kumble is the first cricketer, celebrated cricketer today, has come out in a tweet.
Virendra Sehwag has also tweeted on the day that the incident happened.
But the fact is, none of our present playing cricketers have come out on this issue. Abhinav Bindra, Neeraj Chopra have tweeted. Why is it that everyone else is silent? Why am I not seeing greater protests from within the sporting community? What explains that?
I've said this earlier as well, and this is not just pertaining to this particular issue. There have been times that I've spoken to a lot of players, a lot of current players, and I agree with you that maybe retired players should look at it. But two things that I get to hear. One is that they need to work within the system. As Mr. Magazine just pointed out, these wrestlers have now risked their careers. I do not see a future for them as far as the sports is concerned, right? Similar, which cricketer at the moment in prime of his career would want to risk his future?
Or even those who've retired,
work within the system.
They're part of the same cricketing community.
No,
how do you work out?
Are you saying that they don't have a conscience? Are you saying that they don't feel strongly about it?
They do. But how many
times about a woman?
I have spoken to a few.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that nobody has the conscience, but the fact is, a few of them do say, "Hame pata nahi yaar exactly kya hai." So the moment as sensitive a topic as this, they are very careful. And I think they're also fearful of the...
I feel, I'm sorry I'm coming in, Vikrant, because hame pata nahi hai kya mudda hai is a very convenient point to take, and why I say that.
Mudda hai. Exactly where does it stand?
Where does it stand?
So,
now, why I differ is, and I'll tell you why most people will differ on this. Nobody is saying take their word as the gospel truth. Nobody is saying, go ahead with that. What are you saying? You're saying follow due process of law. 7 days to file an FIR. I'll give you an example. Me and my team for my show was going through figures. The Delhi police in the last 2 months, in 8 cases of a minor reporting a rape crime or a sexual harassment crime, has seen an immediate arrest. So are we following the due process of law? What was the tipping point here for these wrestlers on Sunday? Where, it's questionable. Should they have done it 8 hours after the inauguration? Separate. The tipping point was when images of a Brij Bhushan Sharan, who's a POXO accused, is standing in Parliament, and, one can say history was being made inside and outside Parliament.
So you're saying the wrestlers are the ones, almost the victims, who are being treated as the accused, while the alleged perpetrator seems to be getting off lightly. Listening to what Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh had told us, he remains defiant, labeling the allegations against him just a matter of good touch and bad touch. Listen in. you have Brijbhushan Sharan Singh, someone who's been a Tada detainee in the past, someone who self-confessed to murder on camera. He represents in a way the power of a 6-time MP, but also the way in which officials have run federations. Do you believe, therefore, Pradeep Magazine, the problem is that eventually those in power stand by their own, and therefore the wrestlers, despite bringing glory to the country, are in an unequal battle when you're taking on someone like Brijbhushan Sharan Singh. That's why they are forced to resort to what Nikhil called these kind of event management. Will throw our medals into the river.
Rajdeep, one has to admire the courage shown by these wrestlers that they came out openly, knowing that who are they dealing with, because he has been the president there for many years. They know how powerful he is. So obviously they couldn't take any more, and they came out openly to challenge them. And they probably thought that they have done enough for the country that people or the establishment will listen to them. Now, the problem here is that you have politicians, part of the establishment, who are ruling federations. You have a cricket board which is in a similar situation. And why those cricketers, I'm not justifying, they should take a stand, because there is a stage in your life where you have to take a stand. And especially cricketers who have achieved enough that even the state will fear touching them. Why can't they speak? Obviously, they can't speak, as Nikhil is saying, and we all know why, because of the same simple reason that they feel that they will be targeted. Fine, but they are people. Muhammad Ali won an Olympic gold medal. He threw his medal in a river. He took many other stands later when he probably is the greatest athlete world has seen. And yet he took many stands. And today, if he is admired, he is as much admired for his boxing skills as he is admired for taking on the establishment.
I take your point, but you see what has happened. What has happened, Neeru Bhatia, and people are already putting it out on my timeline saying, are we saying that on the basis of allegations made by these wrestlers, there should be an immediate arrest? Their argument is, now that an FIR has been filed, now that there are investigations, should the wrestlers back off and give the government some time? Otherwise, they say, inevitably they will be caught in this political crossfire.
Rajdeep, I'm not talking about an arrest, but call him in for an interrogation at least. And secondly, who cares? Why should cricketers talking or not talking or taking a stand really be important here? Isn't the word of Olympic medalists or the Olympic community enough? These people have achieved so much for the country, for God's sake. And secondly, you can call Brijbhushan Sharan in and interrogate him. There's no stopping. We did that in the match.
They're calling for his arrest. They're not saying interrogate him. They are saying arrest him in the next 5 days. That's almost like that's like setting a deadline to the police.
Maybe. But at least let's start with calling him in and doing a proper interrogation. Like, even during the match fixing scandal, Mr. Magazine would know that very well. Nobody was arrested, but they were grilled for hours and hours. And none was spared. All the names that were being talked about were called upon. So let's just start somewhere. Here, this man is not
a regular FIR.
There is one which is under the POXO Act that calls for arrest.
If it's led to immediate arrest in other cases, why not this one, as she points out?
Yeah, fair enough.
Like the same point I want to raise.
Yes.
There is a law of the land. You're not following the law of the land. They have registered a case. The charge is such that there is immediate arrest for it. And they have not. That man is roaming around and threatening the wrestlers. That is another crime. There should be another FIR against him for that.
Okay, an interesting sports, one of your fraternity has sent a message saying, look, the medals that the wrestlers have won does not belong to them alone, but to the country, a point that you made, Vikrant, because they played under the Indian flag, and their medals have been won with the efforts of not just the wrestlers' hard work, but also the hard work of multiple people like their coaches and support staff. They've been sent for foreign training, trained at camps, competed internationally. The money that has been spent on them to win medals belongs to taxpayers.
Yeah.
Now you've got, conflicting views. You see, the moment you get into something like a medal, Muhammad Ali eventually turned out probably lost the medal while he was shifting houses, but claimed he had thrown it into the river as a protest against racism in US society.
And he reformed the society.
But as Pradeep says, he was someone who took a stand on issues. Do you believe that these wrestlers should be seen as people who are finally breaking a certain omerta code of silence over sexual harassment in sport, and therefore they too should be seen as people who are changing the rules of the game? They're doing something that
the government has to intervene, and if
the government has to intervene,
they should have by now.
So why is the sports minister silent?
If they are celebrated when they win, again, I do feel that the medal belongs as much as the athletes as the country, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they won the medal because of us. They won the medal individually.
Because of their hard work.
Because of their hard work. No matter what money has been put in, what effort's been put in, they won the medals. In a country of 140 crore people, from 1980 till 1996, India did not win even a single Olympic medal. And there are 2 medals here. Ravi Dahiya, of course, I think has drifted away. Deepak Punia has drifted away. They know that they've got a career in wrestling, and maybe silently they may be. So the point is that the government by now should have intervened.
So why are they not? Why is we haven't heard a word from Smriti Irani? She's Women and Child Development Minister, and this is a case involving sexual harassment of your top, at least that's the allegation, against an MP. We haven't heard from Anurag Thakur unless he's been asked a question. He's tried to stay away from it, saying let the law take its own course.
Barring the meetings that he had in January.
The earlier meetings. So I'm just wondering whether there's a feeling that because the MP involved is someone who is a strongman of UP, has won 6 elections, you've got a general election next year, the government doesn't want, unless it's 100% sure of the charges, to actually go that extra step and arrest him.
No, how can you be 100% sure without investigating? It's an oxymoron there. But having said that, Rajdeep, when you talk
about... No, the police is saying they're investigating.
But you're not following due process of law then, I'm sorry. But what I'm just saying is I want to come back to the medals because there's so much brouhaha about why bring medals into it. I want to go back during the OROP protest, 1 rank, 1 pension. How many of our veterans who had their medals gave their medals up? There is always a tipping point in a protest. In the OROP, 1 rank, 1 pension, you had so many veterans I know who had fought in 65, 71 war, who gave up their medals to the president, gave it up. Right? Now that happened. Why are we questioning them? It's very similar. No, that time it was okay. It's not okay now.
Okay. Can yes.
Just on the point you said, why is it that the government hasn't come in? When they win medals, they're all clamoring for photo ops. That's not happening now. I'm no political expert, but you've had protests, in the recent past in the country, whether there was the farmers' protest, whether there was the Shaheen Bagh protest before that. At any point, did you see the dispensation engage with the protesters? They did not, right? And we all know what the result was on those occasions. So maybe when you know that you really don't need to engage, you really don't need to speak, and yet you get exactly what you desire, then why would you see a need to then come down and engage with
I take your point. I just want to paint pictures of Muhammad Ali because he was a great hero for many of us growing up. And Pradeep magazine, should we really be seeing these wrestlers like an Ali? Ali, as you rightly said, was the greatest not just because of what he did in boxing, but because he stood up for certain values. Do we need a Muhammad Ali-like figure now, some of our greatest sports persons, to stand up and say, look, these wrestlers need to be heard and given a voice?
Well, it'll be very welcome and heartening if some top cricketer or sports person has the courage to stand up and say, like what Abhinav Bindra said. I mean, you have to admire Abhinav Bindra. He's the gold medalist. We just have 2 gold medals individual in Olympic Games, and both have stood up for these athletes. And these women and Bajrang Punia, they are our role models, and they should be our greater role models now for the simple reason they've stood up against the establishment. In some of them believe in the ideological framework of this party. It's not as if they were in some opposition camp and they
absolutely. Bajrang Punia was a great fan, he told me, of Prime Minister Modi, and in fact had reportedly been told by the Prime Minister, you can always call me up whenever. But I want to understand from you, Neeru Bhatia, that the fact that these are women athletes. So if there was silence among male athletes for years, 60s, 70s, 80s, women athletes perhaps were even more intimidated by officials. I was just told a story this morning of athletes who got their tracksuits at the last moment when they were going for a major Asian Games, which was from old blankets that had been cut from Azad Market in Delhi. So we've come from there to today when these athletes are at least celebrated. I just want to understand, is it even more difficult in your view for women to actually come out against powerful male officials?
Of course it is. It always is. But the thing is that I don't know about the 80s and the 70s, but definitely during Vijbhushan Sharan Singh ji's regime, these allegations have come up and they need to be looked into at all costs, because, you know, can you imagine if the number of girls, young girls who are taking up this sport of wrestling, I mean, how traumatic it would have been for them, the kind of trauma they've come through. And and I think nobody would know that better than the protesting women wrestlers, because they would have seen that or heard of that. And why would they do this?
Okay,
why would they lie about it?
Okay, why would they lie about it? A final word, is there any possibility, as some critics are saying, that these wrestlers are now enmeshed in Haryana's politics? You know, Haryana's politicians are reportedly dived in. The Congress, Dipinder Hooda and others have come up in solidarity with them. Now the Bharatiya Kisan Union gets involved. Are they aware of the fact that they could be used, become political pawns, elections in Haryana next year?
You know, Raji, the way I see it is, when they're on the podium, they make a podium finish, they win a medal, they are Indians. The minute they are in protest, sitting in Jantar Mantar, you make it into a Haryana lobby. I don't get that. Now, having said that, I would just want to say one thing. You know, is it politicized? Of course it's politicized. Look at the kind of support they're getting. Every other opposition party is trying to milk, you know, this protest to their favor. Nobody's denying that. You know, has it been infiltrated by possibly elements which many of, you know, us would call Andolan Jeevis? Of course it's been infiltrated by that. But in the end, what is, you know, what are you supposed to look at? Ultimately, nobody is saying take their word for the gospel truth, but get on with the investigation as per due course of law.
Okay. I think in that sense, the voice of these wrestlers is a voice that must be heard. You cannot shut them down. And I think what they've done today is actually made sure that they will not back down. What I wonder is, why do many of our other elite athletes not stand up and be counted at a time like this? This is something that we should ask ourselves. At the end of the day, we venerate our athletes for the glory they brought on the field. We expect them to stand in solidarity of it. We want to see more Abhinav Bindras and more Neeraj Chopras at a moment like this. I thank you all for joining me on the news today. Nice to have experts from the sports world talking here right at the very top of the show. Let's turn from there to our big political story of the day, and it's coming from Manipur once again, where the cycle of violence has forced Home Minister Amit Shah to go to Imphal, where he held meetings today with MLAs and civil society groups to take stock of the situation. But what's the ground report, and why are so many arms floating so freely? Indrajit Kundu now reports.
Mistrust, anger and frustration spilling out on the streets of Imphal. This despite a curfew in place. Angry women holding fort on the streets, checking every vehicle. Shops, businesses, schools and colleges have remained shut for 3 weeks now. Life has come to a grinding halt in Manipur.
What are the prices that have gone up?
All the essential commodities, mainly petrol and all the eatable things now, like onion, potatoes.
The
1 kg of alus goes to 80 rupees. See?
Potatoes?
Yeah, potatoes. 80 rupees. Before this crisis, there were only 15 rupees, but now it is 80 rupees.
Women have always played a very crucial role in various social movements in Manipur. And once again, they are back on the streets. This time, as Manipur simmers for close to a month now with fresh clashes between, various ethnic communities in the state.
Despite the deployment of army and central paramilitary force, there has been no end to the cycle of violence that has gripped the state. On a day when Union Home Minister Amit Shah is visiting the strife-torn state, Manipur seems to be a divided house.
Exactly, we are in NRC and any other means where we could save our Hindu brother and sister in the Delhi area and some parts of Manipur as well. Overall, Manipuri Hindus we want to save. Kindly save Hindus from extinction, basically because of the these infiltrators from Burma side.
On Tuesday, Home Minister Amit Shah held back-to-back meetings with the state administration and a host of civil society groups, both Meitei and Kuki. Shah also visited Chura Chandpur, the epicenter of the recent violence, in a bid to bring the warring ethnic groups on one table. The army's combing operations continue. The challenge for security forces in Manipur is to stop weapons reaching militant groups, with reports of armories being looted. In Delhi, a Congress-led opposition delegation met President Draupadi Murmu, demanding rehabilitation of victims.
The situation on ground is far from normal at a time when Home Minister Amit Shah is in Manipur trying to broker some amount of peace between the two communities, and he's holding high-level talks with various stakeholders in the state. Will peace be restored? And if it finally gets restored, will there be confidence between various ethnic groups who seem to be, at this point in time, there is a lot of mistrust between them? That remains the big question. With camera person Tapas Baidi, Indrajit for India Today in Inform.
Let's raise some of those big questions that remain unanswered. Is Chief Minister Birendra Singh accountable for the Manipur unrest? Who is supplying arms to militants at the moment? How can the government ensure peace returns to Manipur? What are the challenges that lie ahead? Joining me now is Patricia Mukim, editor of the Shillong Times, who's been tracking this issue carefully. Patricia, do you believe that this is a straightforward Meitei versus Kuki battle between two tribes and their militant outfits? Or do you believe that there is politics being played with various groups being supported by one political side or the other? Reports that some of the Meitei groups, for example, have been armed, Kuki groups have been armed, all of them getting these arms from police stations?
It's not such a straightforward thing what is happening in Manipur, and that's why we had said that there is need for a very, very independent inquiry to first get to the root of the matter, because there's too much of point and counterpoint, too much of finger pointing. And yes, this time it is a direct conflict between the Kukis in the hills, the Kuki, Zomi, Paitei groups, and the Meiteis in the plains. And of course, the trigger was that ST status for the Meiteis. But there have been a lot of underlying reasons for the unrest, and these have not been dealt with. They've been kept on hold. They've been politicized, and for instance, my point is that the tribes everywhere in every other state have some kind of self-governance mechanism. You have the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution, which allows the tribes, especially those, in states which are ruled by non-tribal majority governments, to have their own sort of autonomy in governance, so that they're able to bring development which is very nuanced, which is at their own pace, and which can develop institutions. For instance, I think the best example is the arrangement with the Bodoland Territorial Region.
Are you saying that the Kukis should have their own self-administered region? Are you saying that that is a solution?
It is part of the solution because that is their demand. They have what we call the Hill Areas Council, but those Hill Area councils have not been empowered enough. They don't have a budget. They're not able to sort of carry out any development in the hill areas where they are. So they have been asking, they've boycotted elections, they've done many things in the past, but it's still, under 371C, it hasn't improved matters at all. So I think it's time to have a relook.
You're saying you should have a relook. Do you believe, though, that as some are now accusing the Chief Minister of playing sides, playing to the Meitei identity, pitted against the Kukis on the other side, self-styled vigilante groups coming in, many of them armed, do you believe that is a danger? Are the politicians in Manipur playing with fire?
It's very, very dangerous, this huge militarization of the society. How is it that there are arms spread across the hills and the valley? And how is it that arms are allowed to be stolen from police training colleges and other outposts? Who has allowed it? Why is the rule of law not there? This has been building up. And
Can I just give our viewers a chronology of what's been happening in Manipur? Yes. It was on the 19th of April that the Manipur High Court ordered that the Meiteis be included in the scheduled tribe list. This sparked off fears among the Kukis and the Nagas that they perhaps would then find themselves competing for even land and other benefits with the dominant Meiteis of the Imphal Valley. On April 27, an open gym in Churachandpur, which is a Kuki-dominated area, was burned down. The gym was to be opened by Chief Minister Birender Singh the next day. On the 3rd of May, a tribal solidarity march against the inclusion of Meiteis in the ST list took place. More than 60,000 people attended this rally in Churachandpur. The violence then erupted during the rally. 11 civilians were injured and 2 were killed in Kangpokpi district. On the 4th of May, more violence took place in Manipur. The army was deployed. The governor gave shoot-at-sight orders. On the 8th of May, the Supreme Court takes up the plea seeking an SIT probe. On the 21st of May, abandoned houses of Kuki communities were set on fire. On the 28th of May, violence in Siru and Sugnu areas where Kuki militants allegedly set many houses and cars on fire. Now the Chief Minister Birender Singh says 40 Kuki militants have been killed in the crackdown, but he's completely silent on the role that alleged Meitei groups also played in this violence. Do you therefore believe, Patricia, that the time has come, as the Home Minister is supposed to do, to bring Kuki and Meitei leaders face to face to resolve this? You can't treat them separately, distinctly, call one group a group of terrorists and try and protect the other.
See, there's a lot of confusion even now, because in Churachandpur, those MLAs, those 10 MLAs who had given that representation that they want a separate administrative unit, they have said that they have presented that to the Home Minister. The Home Minister hasn't said anything about not, agreeing to that. In the valley, when the MLAs were asked, or some of the spokespersons were asked, they said that the Home Minister has said there will be no territorial or administrative division. So these are conflicting sort of statements by the Home Minister.
So you're saying that there has been no clarity. In the absence of clarity, absence of leadership, you've got militants who in a way have virtually almost taken over parts of the state. I'm joined at this moment by Sapam Nishikant Singh. He's independent MLA from Imphal, close to the Birender Singh government, supports that government. Sapam, appreciate your joining us. What is the message that you've given Amit Shah, the Home Minister who's in Manipur at the moment? What is the message the MLAs have given him today?
The MLAs are very worried with the situation, and the main thing is that Manipur, the integrity of Manipur has to be intact. And of course, the Honorable Home Minister said we must work towards peace, and the MLAs collectively wanted things to be under control. And about
I'm sorry, but those are fine words. The reality is, many are saying that these vigilante groups, whether Meitei groups or or Kuki militants, who has armed them? How do they have so many arms? There are reports of arms being looted from police stations, from police training institutes. The Arambai, Tengol, the Meitei Lupi are being accused of looting arms, and the Chief Minister is accused of playing sides.
Too much has happened. And yes, I don't know where the arms are coming from, and that's a big concern. And I think there was a complete silence for like almost a week or more than that. It's just when the Home Minister announced his arrival to Manipur, that's the time they just took off. So it looks like a very planned kind of a move from them. And that's a big worry. So whenever there's an attack on the on the villages in Manipur, on the foothills, that's when everything gets aggravated. So that has to be controlled, and that he's completely aware about. And everybody's giving them all the memorandum about, the Sioux part and, ground reality or, repeal.
And is everyone fully behind the Chief Minister? Is the Chief Minister's position also now under threat?
See, I'm an independent MLA, so I don't know what's happening inside. But as far as Manipur is concerned, at this juncture, I think politics should be kept aside, and we got to get behind one force for the sake of Manipur as of now. When peace is restored, then politics can always play on.
Okay, so what you're saying at the moment is the first priority is to ensure peace above all else. Once that is done, then recrimination and who was responsible for it, who has failed, who is accountable can follow that. Am I correct? Have I got it right?
Yeah, absolutely. That will follow. Of course, it's a country with a government, and that will follow. But right now, we have to control, the guns have to be seized. We have to make sure there are no firings. And from the meeting that I get, I mean, this is not an official thing, but I can assure the people of Manipur that I think Manipur will be intact. I mean, not that he really spelled it out, but I can get the sense that Manipur is going to be intact. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because, see, you've had the Greater Nagaland cause going on for a long, long time. And that was a huge thing going on in Manipur. I mean, I think that was really huge. And NSCNIM is a massive party, a very strong party. So yet that has been kind of slowed down and things like that. So to give anything away right now would be like creating another huge
So there's no question of a separate Kuki administered state?
No, I mean, personally you ask me, I'm very confident that aisa kabhi nahi hoga.
Okay, aisa kabhi nahi. Okay. We'll wait and see what happens. I appreciate you joining us, Sapam Nishikant Singh. I appreciate Patricia Mukim. We will continue to track Manipur. It is our responsibility as news persons to ensure every part of this country gets its due. No more tyranny of distance. That sometimes means that stories from Delhi and Mumbai get amplified, not from the periphery of the country. You won't find that on the News Today, I promise. Let's take a break. On the other side is our Good News Today story. It comes from Bannerghatta National Park in Karnataka. You're watching the News Today. News without the noise.
Where the software engineer meets the gifted content writer, meets the cool UI UX designer, meets the talented photographer to create the big dream. The world comes together at Sharda University. So where are you?
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Where the software engineer meets the smart market analyst, meets the gifted content writer, to create the big dream. The world comes together at Sharda University. So where are you?
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Welcome back. You are with the news today. Let's end tonight with a good news story that comes from Bengaluru, where a woman is giving motherly love and care to orphan cubs from the past 22 years. In fact, her whole life revolves around leopard and lion cubs. It's a nice way to end the show tonight. Good night. Goodbye. Jai Hind. Namaskara. Take a look at our good news today story. Bye for now.
Simba, the king of jungle, or should we say the prince, now in the care of Savitri at the Bannerghata National Park. Savitri Amma, as she is popularly known, is mother to orphaned cubs that are brought up here from all parts of Karnataka. Lion, leopard, tiger. She has been looking after them for the last 22 years. It's a bond she cherishes. She has sleepless nights when a cub falls sick.
ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳಾದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊತೇವೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಸಪ್ಪಗೆ ಮಲಗಿರ್ತವೆ ಹಾಲು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸಪ್ಪಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇದಾಯ್ತದೆ ಅವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸಾರ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿಗೆ ಅವಾಗ ಅವ್ರು ಬಂದು ನೋಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಂಜೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಮತ್ತೇನಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ 2 ದಿವಸ ಊಟ ತೊಗೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ಹಾಲು ಅಂದರೆ ಅವಾಗ ಡ್ರಿಪ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ ಡ್ರಿಪ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಇಂಜೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಮೇಲೆ 3 ದಿವಸ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಸರೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ತಿರ್ಗಾ ನಾವು ಮಾಮೂಲಿ ಥರ ಹಾಲು ಉಡ್ಬಸ್ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹಾಲು ಕುಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೋಡ್ಕೊತೀವಿ.
Savitri Amma, who communicates effortlessly with the cubs, is a woman of few words. Her world is all about her wild friends. Currently, 9 leopard cubs and 1 lion cub are under her watch.
ಇದು ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ದಿವಸ ಮಗು ಆದರೆ ಒಂದು ಹಾಲೇನೆ ಮತ್ತು ಒಂದು ಅವಾಗ ಕುಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ ಒಂದು 3 ತಿಂಗಳಾದಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ 3 ಟೈಮ್ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು 6 ತಿಂಗಳಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಚಿಕನ್ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ರೂಢಿ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾಲು ಚಿಕನ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ.
The veterinary doctors at the facility say tending to cubs is no easy task.
Only thing, they come early 1 month, 15 days, 1 month cubs, so they come also. Different area. Early very difficult to handle also. After 3 months, 4 months, they will recognize also. They will obey also. Wild animal, no. Anything they will mind change also. You want to take whatever the precautions you should we take also. And all touching also prohibited, only thing.
When the cubs grow up, they will be released in safari zone or kept in the zoo. Some of the cubs will remember her for a long time, like this one. With Anagha Keshav, Bureau Report, India Today.
Paytm has launched a credit card in collaboration with SBI Cards and NCPI. The RuPay card offers exclusive privileges to customers worth up to 75,000 rupees with a complimentary Paytm First membership that also includes offers for OTT platforms and flight ticket discounts through the Paytm app. Cardholders will also receive a 2% cashback on all purchases on the app and a 1% cashback on spends elsewhere.
दो मार्केट शेयर हो जाते हैं पेमेंट में. How many people use our consumer app and how many people use our merchant services? Merchant services, we dominate in this country. More number of merchant take payment using Paytm technology than any other, if you will. On issuing side, I think we've stayed focused on select customer base and we are continuously growing. Our public listed company होने का advantage है. You're seeing our numbers quarter on quarter and user on user. We are committed to grow. What we are not chasing is a sort of vanity number, if you will. What we are chasing is a good customer base and we are focused on monetization as you've seen it. So we are consciously bothering about which kind of customers to acquire, which means that market share wise it may not be material, but on a revenue market share it is significantly material.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News.
Bangalore-based EV startup Simple Energy has launched its first e-scooter. Simple One joins an increasingly populous market which includes players like Ola, Ather, Vida, Hero Electric and Bajaj among others. The company does not currently have any showrooms. The e-scooters have been priced at nearly 1.5 lakh rupees.
Strategy was very clear. We wanted to build a scooter which is super. And I think we have built that. It's in true sense of superior super EV, which does range better, performance better, safety parameters better, riding statistics. Everything is mentored and checked upon. So I think our strategy was very clear on building a great product, and the consumers will take care of it. I think we have solved that piece of it. The second piece, I think we are focused on scaling our dealership, our manufacturing capacity, and I think that will resolve most of the issues going forward. I think there are two things about it. One is, of course, reducing subsidies might deter the growth, but that's very short term. I don't think that will impact much further on it. But also it will push the OEMs to become self-sustained and will build products which are more viable.
Forecast now. Delhi, maximum 37 and minimum 23 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 34 and minimum 28 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 41 and minimum 29 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 27 and minimum 23 degrees. Chennai, maximum 33 and minimum 28 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 38 and minimum 26 degrees.
LIC हर पल आपके साथ।
Tata Motors, new forever.
The Kalava, the Rudraksh and the Lord Shiv bhajans on social media.
अगर कलावा घर में खानदान में कोई नहीं पहनता लेकिन बेटी को फंसाने के लिए कलावा पहन के आता है, इसका मतलब प्यार नहीं जिहाद है।
Sahil, according to the police, had also posted bhajans on Instagram. Neighbors say he'd initially introduced himself as Rahul.
The name he is using here is not Sahil, it was Rahul.
Did Sahil mislead Sakshi? Clamor to probe alleged love jihad angle to Sakshi murder. That's our top focus on India First.
The killer caught on camera, Sahil Khan, according to Delhi police, showed absolutely no remorse for repeatedly stabbing 16-year-old Sakshi and then crushing her head with a stone slab again, repeatedly. He had, according to initial investigations, bought a long blade, a knife, almost a fortnight before this crime, leading the police to suspect that this was a pre-planned murder. But as of now, that murder weapon is yet to be recovered. And more important, the motive, it hasn't been completely ascertained amidst calls for investigation into the love jihad angle. What's the love jihad angle? I'm Gaurav Sawant. We get you much more on this big story. But first, as always, the headlines. High drama as protesting wrestlers threaten to immerse their medals in Haridwar. They give a 5-day ultimatum to arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. BKU leader Naresh Taket stops the immersion of medals in Ganga. Congress delegation led by Mallikarjun Kharge meets President over the Manipur violence. Home Minister Amit Shah orders strict action against elements disturbing peace in the state. Explosive details of ED charge sheet in the liquor scam. ED claims Manish Sisodia changed his mobile phone even after the CBI lodged a case. Accused Vijay Nair arm twisted the manufacturers using Punjab government machinery. Inside details of Delhi's demonic crime probe. Sakshi murder was pre-planned. Accused Sahil chatted with multiple girls while he plotted Sakshi's murder. A day after the photo op, no sign of a real breakthrough in the Ashok Gelhot Sachin pilot battle. Sachin pilot wants Congress leadership to provide a clear roadmap in the battle for Rajasthan. The Delhi police have made some sensational disclosures after the initial interrogation of Sahil Khan, the 20-year-old air conditioning technician who was caught on CCTV cameras repeatedly stabbing a 16-year-old girl to death. He then crushed her head with a stone slab on a very busy Delhi bylane. Police say this was not a heat of the moment crime, but a well-planned murder. Sahil bought a knife a fortnight ago. He waited for the right opportunity to kill Sakshi. And after killing Sakshi, Sahil reportedly discarded the knife at a place called Rithala and then went to live with a relative in Bulandshahr. We get you more in our top story.
Before stabbing her 20 times and smashing her head 6 times with a slab of stone, Sahil Khan plotted the cold-blooded murder and called Sakshi to the crime spot and waited to ambush her. When Sakshi arrived, Sahil went on a stabbing spree and crushed her head multiple times in full public glare as passers-by looked on. The preliminary investigation reveals a breakup drove Sahil to kill Sakshi. Sahil was furious as Sakshi went back to her earlier boyfriend Praveen. Sahil confronted Sakshi on the breakup before murdering her. After the murder, Sahil switched off his phone to dodge the police and fled to UP's Bulandshahr. He threw away the murder weapon, a knife, in Delhi's Ritala area.
बताया जा रहा है कि साहिल मैकेनिक का काम करता था, जबकि सरफराज जो उसके पिता हैं वो बढ़ई का काम करते थे, दरवाजा खिड़कियां ये सब बनाने का काम वो किया करते थे। फिलहाल पुलिस साहिल से लगातार पूछताछ कर रही है और ये पता लगाने की कोशिश कर रही है कि आखिर इस वारदात को अंजाम देने की प्लानिंग उसने कब रची थी।
Sahil has now admitted to killing Sakshi during interrogation by the police.
साइंटिफिक इन्वेस्टिगेशन पे पूरा जोर है, कोशिश कर रहे हैं सारे जितने भी इसमें हम लोग को एविडेंसेस मिल पाएं वो सब हम लोग जुगाड़ रहे हैं। फर्दर इन्वेस्टिगेशन इज ऑन इट्स।
Sakshi, continuously harassed by Sahil, had confided in one of her friends and had urged him to help her.
साक्षी ने यही बोला, मैं 20 बार बता चुका हूँ कि मेरे को एक लड़का टॉर्चर कर रहा है, भाई थोड़ी मेरी मदद करो, तो मैं तो उसकी मदद ही करने गया था। हाँ। उस लड़के को समझाने ही गया था।
कहाँ मिला था साहिल आपको?
यहीं पर ही जहाँ पे मर्डर हुआ है।
जहाँ पे मर्डर
पहले भी वहीं मिला था।
अच्छा,
वहीं पर उसी ने बुलाया था।
While plotting Sakshi's murder, Sahil had been chatting with multiple girls. The police are probing if this was the reason for Sakshi breaking up with him.
इस कातिल को हर हाल में अगले 6 महीने के अंदर अंदर फांसी की सजा होनी चाहिए। इसके ऊपर सरकार को काम करना चाहिए, कोर्ट्स को काम करना चाहिए।
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has promised strict action for the gruesome murder.
उसको कठोर से कठोर सजा दिलाने के लिए दिल्ली सरकार जो है कोर्ट के अंदर बड़े से बड़ा वकील खड़ा करेगी।
आज मैं एलजी साहब से हाथ जोड़ के निवेदन करना चाहती हूँ कि देश के संविधान ने आपको दिल्ली की कानून व्यवस्था की, दिल्ली की सुरक्षा व्यवस्था की जिम्मेदारी दी है, लेकिन आप अब 24 घंटे सिर्फ और सिर्फ राजनीति करने में लगाते हैं, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के काम रोकने में लगाते हैं। अगर आप अपनी संवैधानिक जिम्मेदारी निभाएं तो आज दिल्ली में ये स्थिति नहीं होगी।
Sakshi's parents have sought capital punishment for Sahil. Will Sakshi get justice in death? With Himanshu Mishra in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
The Kalava, the Rudraksh Mala and the Shiv Bhakti Bhajans on Sahil Khan's social media. Now, was all of this part of a very elaborate trap for young girls like Sakshi? There is a clamour to probe the alleged love jihad angle in the Sakshi murder. A neighbour claims Sahil had initially introduced himself as Rahul in the locality. So was Sakshi aware of the truth? Was she trying to distance herself from Sahil, knowing the truth? The Delhi police say they will probe all angles and build a strong case seeking death penalty for a remorseless Sahil Khan.
16-year-old Sakshi, stabbed and bludgeoned to death by a 20-year-old man. The murder has numbed the entire nation. There is a new twist in the murder. When the alleged killer Sahil Khan was arrested from his aunt's house in Bulandshahr, the Hindu sacred thread Kalava was tied on his hand. Sahil is also seen wearing a Kalava in many of his Instagram posts as well.
What's more surprising is another video of Sahil wearing a rosary of Rudraksha around his neck, with Om Shankar song playing in the background. These videos raise a big question whether Sahil was hiding his religious identity from Sakshi. After speaking to some Muslim community members in Sahil's village, it has emerged that even Muslims visiting dargahs tie kalawa.
आपने तो ये हाथ में कलावा बांध रखा है।
मेरी बहू है ना जो उस पर बच्चे होते मर जाते थे तो हम कलजर शरीफ दरगाह पे गए थे तो वहाँ से हम हमारा लाग है ये तो वहाँ हम अपनी चादर उधर चढ़ा के धागा वहाँ बंध गया था मेरे बेटे के भी मेरी बहू के भी।
अच्छा, तो इस तरीके के धागा मतलब इस्लाम में भी बनते हैं?
हाँ, अगर उनकी परंपरा हो तो बनते हैं।
As pictures of Sahil wearing kalawa emerged, the BJP claimed love jihad in Sakshi's chilling murder.
अगर नाम झूठा बताता है तो इसका मतलब प्यार नहीं जिहाद है। अगर कलावा घर में खानदान में कोई नहीं पहनता लेकिन बेटी को फंसाने के लिए कलावा पहन के आता है, इसका मतलब प्यार नहीं जिहाद है। लव जिहाद के इस राक्षस से अपनी बेटियों को बचाना।
देखिए, ये जो घटना घटी है बहुत दुखद है। उस बच्ची के साथ ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए था। उसके मन में जिहादी मानसिकता भरी हुई है और एक धर्म विशेष ने उसको इस काम पे लगाया हुआ है कि आपने जाकर हिंदू लड़कियों के साथ गलत काम करने हैं। तो ऐसी सोच के खिलाफ बहुत बड़ी लड़ाई लड़ने की जरूरत है।
Love jihad or not, it is one more angle for the police to probe. With Himanshu Mishra from Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
So does this case fall in the category of love jihad? Joining me on the show is Shubhrasta, a political analyst, Trisha Shetty is a lawyer and a women's rights activist, and Dr. Vikram Singh is former Director General of the Uttar Pradesh Police. Shubhrasta, I want to begin by asking you, why does his having tied a kalawa or wearing a rudraksh look suspicious to you? Explain, why should this be linked or probed as love jihad?
Gaurav, for the simple reason that this seems to be a part of an established trend, that there has been a lot of incidents in the past, and we have known it through various reports that have come out. We have known it through, of course, through the various representations on media, especially movies like the Kerala story, that it's a part of a larger trend, which is why there is a reason that there is an uproar on the love jihad angle. Having said that, I am not going to deny the fact that there are traditions within Islam where there is a whole idea of tying, a thread on your legs or, on your hands, etc. But Rudraksh definitely makes one wonder, why is it that a Muslim youth, if at all he might be influenced by Hinduism,
okay,
but then that's something that the family should come out and speak about. So to your specific question on why do I think that there is a credence to this entire love jihad angle, it is because there have been precedents in the past.
Okay.
It is because we have seen cases in Jharkhand, cases in Kerala, cases in Delhi, that there is an angle which exists like this. There's no reason why one should discount this particular aspect.
This should be investigated, is what you say. Trisha Shetty, yes. A neighbor today told reporters Sahil had initially introduced himself in this locality as Rahul. Why would he do so if that is true? The Kalawa, the Rudraksh, the Shiv bhajans on social media platforms. When you join the dots, does it point to a scary picture?
The only scary picture I see here is a 20-year-old man brutally murdering a 16-year-old girl. The second scary picture I see here is how we are repeatedly watching women lose their lives to violence in India. Right? Now, what are the dots we are joining? Sometimes they say love jihad is when when a Hindu woman is being trapped in love with a Muslim man and then she engages in terrorist activities and is a threat to the state. Here, suddenly, the girl is unfortunately been murdered. Now the whole angle of love jihad has been changed to what? She was trapped so that she could later been killed. It's you're joining some obscure dots to further divide us on the grounds of religion. Can we just talk about real numbers for a second, caller? Just 1 minute, okay?
Go, sure.
Nirbhaya Fund has since 2016 to 2013 has had 4,480 crores allocated to it to be dispersed. Okay, I was in your debate yesterday when a BJP representative was very proudly speaking about it. I'm happy that she did. Fast track courts have had double pendency that has increased in the past 2 decades. Currently, fast track courts have a pendency rate of 11 lakhs with an 89.5% pendency rate when it comes to rape. Do you know how much budget has been allocated for the creation of Central Victim Compensation Fund? Out of 4,400 that has been spent, 200 crores has been allocated. A mere sum of 200 crores. When was the last time it was allocated? In 2015. Do you know how much budget has been allocated for the procurement of forensic kits? 7 crores. What kind of numbers is this? Do you know how much budget has been allocated for the training of police officers?
Let's take this step
3
by
crores
step.
and 4 crores.
Okay, Shubhrashta wants to respond, but I want to bring in Dr. Vikram Singh also into this conversation. Sir, this conversation about love jihad, given your experience, you've been a police officer for over 4 decades. Does this crime fall in the category of what is being called love jihad? Does it need to be probed as such, or is this just another crime and love jihad is a political angle that's being added?
Gauravji, not necessarily. Any murder will have to be probed incisively, and very deep investigation would be required to understand the wiring of the mind of the assailant and the killer. In this case, this boy Sahil took pains to conceal and camouflage his faith by wearing kalawa. Okay, condone that the kalawa can be worn by the Muslims because they are murids of certain dargahs. But the Rudraksh mala is absolutely an anachronism. Then the Shiv Bhajans on his social media posts also are incongruous. Number 3, he took pains to take the name of Rahul. Why did he have to conceal his identity? And to say that love jihad is only there to marry and then convert the women into terrorists is not true. The faith and the purpose is to marry by concealing one's faith, by inducement, by concealment, by fraud, so as to change the demography and convert the non-Muslims into the Muslim faith. That is the main purpose. Then the second step would be that, of course, is at a later stage. But in many cases, you would find that boys concealing their religion and then enticing and inducing the women of other faith, whether Hindus or Christians or both, into matrimony. And then, of course, it comes as a plot. And that is, of course, is the matter of investigation. Why did he take pains to conceal his religion, conceal his real name, and then pass on as Rahul?
And I want our viewers to hear this from those who were there. Our reporter, Arpita Arya, was on ground zero and she spoke to one of the neighbors. Listen in.
यहाँ पे लोकल लोगों ने कहा है कि ये बंदा राहुल के नाम से यहाँ रहता था, कलावा वगैरह पहनता था। ये बात यहाँ के लोकल लोगों ने कही है। और
कलावा जिसकी बात करी, रुद्राक्ष और हनुमान जी की पोस्टर, ये सब तो उसके सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म पे दिख रहे हैं।
बट द नेम ही इज यूजिंग हियर इज नॉट साहिल, इट वाज राहुल।
Trisha Shetty, respond. If his intentions were noble, why would he change his name, as people on ground are saying? Why would a Sahil become a Rahul? Why would a Sahil wear Rudraksh? Why would a Sahil have Shiv Bhakti bhajans?
Let's be very clear, a murderer who commits such a heinous crime cannot purport to have noble intentions. I will in no way defend such heinous crime perpetrated by such a grotesque individual, right? 2, what did he claim his surname was? I'm curious to know. What did he claim his surname was?
So
3,
Rahul,
if this
are you saying there can also be a Rahul Khan? Is that what you're... No, so there can be a Rahul Khan.
I'm curious to know.
There can be a Rahul Sohrabuddin.
I am curious to know. Sahil is not a very Muslim sounding name. I am curious to know if he changed his identity and said his first name was Rahul, what did he say his second name was? I'm genuinely curious to know.
How does that add to the debate? How does that remove from it?
How Sahil doesn't sound like a Muslim sounding name. And
what
thirdly,
about Rahul?
If you're saying...
What about Rahul? What does Rahul sound like?
Rahul, you know, Catholic, do you know how many Catholic friends I have who call Rahul?
So is there a love jihad in Christianity also? Shubhrashta wants to respond. Shubrasta wants
I
to
just want to
respond.
ask you a question. I just want to ask you just one second. Let me just finish.
No,
Shubhra, can I just
want
finish? I don't want to
Shubrasta
interrupt you when you
time
start.
is at a premium. Shubrasta, you want to come
Just
to this?
one thing. You said the demographic changes.
The problem with human rights advocates or, feminists who want to completely deny any agency to the perpetrator of violence in this case. Why do we assume that the perpetrator is always a victim of some kind of a larger socio-political, societal melee, and which is why he cannot commit a crime? Look at what Trisha is saying right now, that let us not go by name, that, let us ignore the fact that Rahul or Sahil or whoever he is, might not have revealed his identity in full glory. She's bringing the Christian angle in. Please tell me, Trisha, have you heard of any... No, don't make a face like that. Answer a specific question. Have you heard of any Christian guy not revealing his identity, marrying a Hindu girl and lynching her into pieces? Murdering her by,
I don't think you heard me right at all. Where did I make any sort of excuses for this abominable individual who's committed such a heinous crime?
No, you did not.
Why would I make excuses for that?
I'm still curious about that. But I want Dr. Vikram Singh to weigh in because time is at a premium. Dr. Vikram Singh, is love jihad a figment of imagination?
Not at all. This matter, the problem is not only endemic to India, but it is there. You must have heard of grooming of British girls, and the British Prime Minister has ordered an SIT to improve that. And the problem of the so-called love jihad is an absolute reality. That is why there are laws in very many states, including Uttar Pradesh, to contain this malady and control this epidemic. Now, to say that this man has already committed a crime by concealing his real name and also taking pains to camouflage his faith by the Rudraksh and the Shiv Bhajans. There can be any number of arguments to say that this sounds like this sounds like. Fact of the matter is that you used absolutely a name of the other faith to conceal and camouflage your faith. And then you also did not profess your faith. That, of course, is a matter of choice. But the fact that you chose the faith and the camouflage items of the other religion just for what purpose and what, that is a criminal activity and a very suspicious activity, and the police need to investigate that.
Okay, Trisha Shetty, there are now multiple laws in states that actually codify what falls in the category of love jihad, and misrepresentation of facts is one of them. If a Muslim man reportedly introduces himself as a Hindu surname, as a Hindu name, Rahul, ties a kalava, wears a ridraksh, plays out Shiv bhajans, should that not be investigated as alleged love jihad? Why bury somebody's head in sand and claim there is no love jihad unless you believe there is nothing called love jihad?
Actually, I do believe that love jihad is a very convenient bogeyman that has been raised by this administration to villainize an entire community and actually
just this administration and not before 2014?
And ignore the plight of women and their safety. If the idea of love jihad is to change the demographic, then following the same logic, what sense does it make to kill this girl? What sense does it make to kill this girl? Why didn't you get her to convert instead? Your logic of love jihad, your boogeyman, has to make logical sense, at least with the mouth.
Not succeeding in his aim could be one of them, right? She was trying to distance herself from him.
Where is the evidence for this? What you're making out to be? This is the fantasy.
Where is the evidence that she was trying to distance himself? The fact that she was avoiding him, the fact that he confronted her and killed her.
Distancing herself because she was trying to convert her religion.
On facts on this case.
She was trying to convert her religion?
No, she was trying to distance herself from him. Shubrasta.
Gaurav, this is exactly where I use the word agency with respect to the perpetrator. There is this absolute blanket silence on anyone to acknowledge that this guy Sahil has really manipulated the entire system, not just the social system that we have, but also the administrative system that we have. Look at the guts with which he goes out and commits such a heinous crime. And here we are actually debating whether the girl had an agency or not. Let's talk about the agency of Sahil for the time being, because the girl is gone. We can create a better world for women out there in our individual capacities as much as we want. But then the point is that the girl is gone today. And she is gone because we have been absolutely oblivious to the kind of grooming that has been happening in this country for quite some time, and nobody is ready to acknowledge it.
And grooming that's not restricted, as Dr. Vikram Singh points out, only to India. Grooming that's also on in the United Kingdom. Is there a problem, Dr. Vikram Singh? Why, in your appreciation, and you've been a police officer for over 4 decades, why is it, whether in India or in the United Kingdom, you know, there was an effort to just bury it under, brush it under the carpet, or bury your head in sand?
You said it, Mr. Gaurav, that yes, the bizarre and the inexplicable defense of this perversion is a matter that needs to be probed and investigated also. Why there should be a compulsion to defend Sahil and his perverse acts? He is a cold-blooded, deliberate murderer, and he should be handled like such. The misplaced sympathy and compassion for men like Sahil is also a problem with our society, that it becomes fashionable to defend people like Sahil and to take and to turn the searchlight elsewhere. Sahil is a problem, and the modus operandi that Sahil displayed also speaks volumes that he was tutored, and there is a specific purpose and role for which he has been tutored. And there is a premium also on how to go about their predations. And these predators also go out on a prowl. Yet, if you talk about that, Gauravji, well, you say that you are not secular. Secular means being anti-majority community only. Anything, even if he's a murderer, if you talk about it, well, you are not being appropriate. You are not indulging in appropriate activity.
So let me get Trisha Shetty to respond. Trisha Shetty, if a section of our society, and I'm not just talking about administration, I'm talking about people. If people feel aggrieved and claim there is a systematic effort to target them, should this not be investigated instead of being summarily dismissed?
Right now, we are gathered here today to discuss the heinous murder of a girl, right? This is not an anomaly in India, unfortunately. Crimes against women has been on a steady increase. From 2021 NCRB data, we've had a 15.3% increase in crimes against women, totaling over 428,000 cases. Right? So unfortunately, we're at a time right now when this case is not an anomaly. My point is, instead of addressing how do we get access to justice to this girl against this gruesome, brutal criminal, by looking at all the evidence, by studying all the evidence and ensuring that he doesn't get to leave jail, ensuring that he gets the stringent punishment that sends a message to everyone at large that you cannot get away with brutalizing any woman's body like this, let alone a child who's 16 years of age. Instead of looking at why we have increase in rates of crime against women, where is the Nirbhaya fund going that's supposed to protect women?
No, that's a good point. You've raised that before. I've got breaking news coming in. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh has reacted to the wrestlers saying that they would throw their medals in the Ganga River. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh is the chief of the World Wrestling of the Wrestling Federation of India, and he says, why have they handed over their medals to Taket? Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh says, if found guilty, he will surrender. Why? Let's listen in to the BJP MP and the Wrestling Federation of India chief on the protests by wrestlers. Let's listen in.
अब तो हमारे हाथ में खेल है नहीं, अब तो दिल्ली पुलिस के हाथ में है, जांच होने दीजिए।
तो ये क्यों कर रहे हैं खिलाड़ी? आपको लगता है कि
ये इसका उत्तर वही बता सकते हैं।
क्योंकि वो कह रहे हैं कि उन्हें भरोसा नहीं, और आज बैठ के रोई है रिनेश फोगाट और साक्षी मलिक।
तो अब इसके लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं? इसके लिए तो नहीं, इसके लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं? देखिए, उन्हीं के निवेदन पर FIR हुआ है, जांच चल रही है। अब उसमें हम उनकी क्या मदद कर सकते हैं? अब आज मेडल फेंकने गई थी, मेडल मतलब डालने के लिए गई थी, फिर गंगा जी में, अब गंगा जी के बजाय टिकैत को दे दी, तो ये उनका स्टैंड, हम क्या कर सकते हैं?
नरेश टिकैत सीधे तौर पे कह रहे हैं,
वो हमारा नहीं, बस हमारा एक जो कह दिया
आप अड़ेंगे अपने स्टैंड। अरे
किस चीज पे स्टैंड? मेरा
कहा कि आप इस्तीफा ऐसे नहीं देंगे, आप
क्या?
जब तक पूरी,
अरे हमारा तो कार्यकाल पूरा हो गया ना, हमारा तो कार्यकाल पूरा हो गया।
तो गिरफ्तारी पर बात आ गई ना कि आपकी गिरफ्तारी होगी।
तो गिरफ्तारी अगर गलत पाया जाऊंगा, गिरफ्तारी हो जाएगी, क्या दिक्कत है?
So the ball is in the court of the police. They're investigating the matter. In case found guilty, will be arrested, says Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. We'll track that story closely. A quick break. Coming up next is Business Today with Abha Bakaya.
and Himachal are where you see apple orchards in India. This orchard is in Uttar Pradesh's Gazipur. Sunil Kushwaha is growing Himachali apples in his farm during off-season at a time when temperatures rise up to 48 degrees Celsius.
ये जो सेब की वैरायटी है ये 48 डिग्री के टेम्परेचर में भी सरवाइव कर लेता है और इसमें अहम योगदान एक हिमाचल प्रदेश के बहुत ही बहुचर्चित साइंटिस्ट हैं, वैज्ञानिक हैं, हरमन शर्मा जी का। हरमन शर्मा जी ने इजाद किया और एक वैरायटी निकाली अपने नाम से ही, हरमन 99, हरमन 99 के नाम से।
Kushwaha says he was inspired to grow apples when he heard the fruit was being cultivated in a village adopted by Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
इसके प्रेरणा स्रोत हमारे एक पीडीआई के प्रयागराज के अथॉरिटी डेवलपमेंट के एक जेई हैं, शशि प्रकाश सिंह। बनारस में एक गांव है जिसे मोदी जी ने गोद ले रखा है। तो जब गोद लिया था उन्होंने, जब यहाँ से सांसद चुन के गए थे, तो उन्होंने हरमन 99 हरमन शर्मा के पौधे अपने किसानों को वितरित किया था। हम लोग गए विजिट करने, जाने के बाद सच्चाई ये आई कि किसी के पास एक पौधे नहीं थे। कारण ये था कि पौधा सरवाइव नहीं कर पाएगा।
Disappointed at its findings, Kushwaha went to Himachal next.
हिमाचल गए, वहाँ बात किए, विचार किए, तो समझ में आया कि 48 डिग्री के टेम्परेचर में सरवाइव तो करता है, लेकिन कुछ रख रखाव, कुछ सुझाव की जरूरत पड़ती है और वो रख रखाव हमारे यहाँ किसान नहीं कर पाए। तो उस तरीके से जब इसको हम करना चालू किए तो हमारे यहाँ पौधा बहुत ही शानदार चलना स्टार्ट हो गया। पौधा लगाने के बाद सबसे पहला रख रखाव कि कभी भी केमिकल फर्टिलाइजर नहीं डालना है, रासायनिक खादों से इस पौधे को दूर रखना है।
The apples in Kushwaha's farm have surprised officials at the local Krishi Vigyan Kendra.
यदि 5.5 से 6.5 pH है तो हमारे यहाँ की मतलब क्षेत्र में भी उसकी खेती, और टेम्परेचर यदि उसको मेंटेन किया जाए तो टेम्परेचर के हिसाब से हमारे यहाँ भी उसकी खेती लार्ज स्केल में की जा सकती है।
While Kushwaha has succeeded in growing apples in his farm, the viability and profitability are still to be studied. Bureau Report, India Today.
Hello and welcome. You're with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. Here are the day's headlines. Gold falls to a 2-month low as domestic and global uncertainties recede. Yellow metals shine, dims as investors flock to D Street again. BTTV talks to two big experts in today's show to tell you the way ahead. Markets up for the fourth straight day. Sensex topped 63,000 in trade, up 123 points. Nifty up 35 points. IGC in the green despite turning ex-dividend. Great news ahead as GDP growth rate for 22-23 likely to be better than earlier estimates. Watch special coverage on BTTV social media handles and the show tomorrow. RBI to expand digital rupee pilot project this year. No word yet on wide-scale launch. Also plans a separate lightweight payments alternative to UPI, RTGS and NEFT to be deployed during natural calamities and war. The extent of China's financial troubles exposed. Goldman Sachs report claims local governments in China owe a mind-boggling $23 trillion. COVID epicenter Wuhan asks companies to repay their debts immediately to the city. Gold prices hit a 2-month low today, pressured by talks of a deal on the debt ceiling in the US and a possible pause in interest rate hikes by the US Fed Reserve. Prices have fallen from 60,680 rupees per 10 grams in the Delhi spot market to 59,767. The fall has been particularly steep in the past 2 weeks. We're joined by Navneet Damani, Vice President, Commodity Research at Motilal Oswal Financial Services, and Vandana Bharti, AVP Commodity Research at SMC Global, to discuss the precious metal. Thank you both for joining us. Let me start off with you, Vandana, and get a sense from you, because just when everyone was anticipating gold to hit those record levels, given fears around the US debt ceiling, we've actually seen a complete reversal, and quite a steep one at that, in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, very true. Actually, it hit the high of $2085, and from there we have seen a fall, and now it is trading near $1950 kind of level, and it is almost a fall of more than $130 in a month time. So yes, the more fall is expected in this market because we have some negative triggers for gold, and one is that there is a positive talk on debt ceiling, and dollar index technically even it is looking high and likely to touch 106, which is very negative for any commodities prices, especially gold. So gold will react on that if it touches 106 or 107 level. Another thing is that in this week we are expecting some positive data, and there are three crucial GDP data from India, Italy, and Germany. And all three it is expected to come in positive zone. So it will again give a pressure in gold counter, bullion counter, in fact, and the safe haven buying. We may see it will steal the safe haven buying from gold counter. So in international market, we are expecting that there should be a decline towards the level of $19-20. If we talk about the Indian market, 58,500, 58,400 is a very good support. And considering the depreciation in INR, we are expecting that there should be a limited downside in Indian gold market.
All right, so limited downside. Now, Neeta, let me get your view in as well, given the, variety of factors at play. Let's talk about the global market first, and whether or not you feel some of those triggers have receded, given that the debt ceiling talks seem to be on track now. However, the Fed is yet to hike rates, and it looks like they're going to be doing that.
Well, yeah, to be very fair, gold has its own set of fundamentals which are driving the prices at this point in time. We started the year on a very flattish note, but the rally has got up everybody by surprise from $1,650 to $2,080. That was a non-stop run-up which was seen in gold. However, I strongly believe at that point in time that the markets had overshot themselves and were due for a correction, and that is what we are witnessing at this point in time. Now, to talk about the debt ceiling, I think that's largely done deal, and it's not the first time that debt ceiling overhang is kind of impacting the market. Of course, it gives an impetus to safe haven assets, but that is not getting reflected at gold at this point in time, which gives us an indication that sooner or later, probably in a week's time, we will have some probably conclusive result out of the debt ceiling fiasco. To top it up, we had some banks which were under stress in the US, and the expectation of a possible pause over the next couple of Fed meet, but the now chances have now started to once again indicate of a 25 basis point hike as we approach the next US Fed meet. I strongly believe that gold prices, if there is some more flesh or probably some more bad news coming in from macro front or any escalation in the war, then there could be a strong positive uptrend in gold prices. Otherwise, say probably for the next couple of quarters, we've already hit the top and we could be heading downwards.
All right. Possible 10% downtrend, that's actually quite significant. Vandana, let me bring you back in here. And you also talked about some factors not really stacking up. For those that were already invested in the yellow metal, should they be looking to book some profits? And for those who were perhaps looking for other asset classes to invest in, would you advise just sticking to equities then, or any other commodities right now if we're anticipating softening when it comes to gold?
Yeah, it depends upon duration. If they have invested for short term, then definitely this is the time to book the profit. But if anybody has a vision for a year or 1.5 years, so like I'm still very bullish in gold because see, if we see the economic indicators, global PMI is near 50. Mostly the major economies PMI, they are below 50. Even China PMI is 47 right now. So these things are indicating that the economic health is really not very good, and definitely the safe haven buying will come, and it will reflect in the currency factor as well. So another 25 basis point hike, if it happens, then it may give a temporary downside to the gold prices, but again it will again give the pressure to the economic performance, and safe haven buying will return, and definitely it should start an uptrend from the month of September, because if we see the seasonality, if we see the facts, check the facts, since 1976, we have only seen 7 or 8 times that gold moved down in the month of September. So this is the time to go for seasonal buying in gold. So August lower side in gold, it is considerable to very good buying point for gold for the entire year, and fourth quarter definitely will be for gold, and there we can expect that new record high should be made there in international market as well as in domestic market. So for short term, I am bearish in gold for very short term, but if somebody took the gold for long time, I would suggest that hold your gold in your portfolio, and it will definitely safeguard your portfolio. And for 2023 in international market, I'm expecting $21-25. In domestic market, I'm considering the new high of 63,000 to 63,500. So again, it will be a win-win situation for 2023 in gold, and it will be another year of hike for gold.
Would you agree? Let me also get Nathan on this to understand if he's concurrent with the kind of targets on the higher side here, Navneet. Okay, she said short term we could possibly see a blip, but would you be in concurrence with the target on the higher side?
Well, it's a divided opinion at this point in time, and it is really difficult for the investors also to figure out what's to be done. But you've already seen about the 7% correction in the domestic market, or probably the international markets also in the last 1 month's time frame, and I think that comes on the back of 20% successive rally over the last 4 months. Now to time it here is a little difficult. Maybe as I mentioned, maybe 2-3-5% upside could be in store, but from a medium term perspective, I'm not pretty confident. I would rather place my bets on silver, probably expecting a revival in the industrial economies, and probably a strong pent up demand coming in from China. So my money would be on silver rather than gold at this point in time.
Let's get your view, Vandana, on silver and whether or not we'll see better opportunity for returns there.
Yeah, silver is the shining metal, and the shine will increase by in the years, because the more we talk about clean energy, green environment, clean environment, the more silver will be used by the various companies and factories and everywhere. And since 2012, we have seen first time in 2022 that the demand surpassed the supply side. So it is happening, and even in this year, the demand will higher than the supply side. So this time we are expecting that the gold-silver ratio should improve towards 1:75. It hit the low of 1:95, 1:97 in 2022 when the war occurred. What started. So in coming years, we are expecting that silver will outperform gold. And in international market, we are expecting that there should be a higher side target of around $35 to $36. And surprisingly, it hit a record high of $50, and now it is trading near the level of $25. So it is almost half prices down from the record high, and gold is making record high every day. So this is the time when silver will outperform gold, and the industrial demand is increasing, and it will push up the silver prices, and marginally the silver ETF buying is also increasing. So this is another positive factors. And in domestic market, we are expecting 85,000 kind of level next year in silver.
Great speaking to both of you and hearing both your views. I'm glad we found some consensus at the end of it. And good to hear what's happening in the world of precious metal. Thanks so much for joining us. Capital markets, meanwhile, continued their upward climb, with indices extending their gains for the fourth session in a row. Gains were, however, capped amid mixed global cues. Sensex crossed 63,000 in trading today before settling 123 points higher at 62,969. The Nifty was up 35 points. Top Nifty gainers today: ITC, HDFC Life, Bajaj Finserv, Kotak Bank and Bajaj Finance. On the downside, Hindalco, Adani Enterprises, Tata Steel, Tech Mahindra and Dr. Reddy's. There could be some good news on the economic front, with the government set to announce much better than expected GDP growth numbers tomorrow. A pickup in economic activity in the past few months and reducing uncertainties has paved the way for a faster economic growth rate.
For the current year, for the year that has just ended, that is 22-23, the estimates are that it will be 7%. but there is a possibility that it could be even more.
The governor of the Reserve Bank of India himself giving the good news last week that the GDP growth estimate for financial year 2022-23 will be better than expected. The RBI had forecast a 7% growth rate against the much more guarded forecast of world bodies like IMF and the World Bank. However, a State Bank of India report released last week hiked the estimate to 7.1%. According to the report, the pickup in the economy in the fourth quarter, January to March, has been more energetic than earlier estimated.
It initially appeared in the third quarter that there was a pent-up demand which was supporting economic activity. But all the economic indicators in the Q4 of last financial year, they saw that economic activity sustained momentum. And in fact, all the fast move, high frequency indicators, about 70 of them which we monitor in the Reserve Bank of India, almost in all of these high frequency indicators, the momentum was maintained in Q4. So therefore, I will not be surprised, we should not be surprised if the growth is slightly more than 7%.
What has turned the tide for the economy from the post-COVID bloom is a clutch of factors, including a rebound in the agriculture sector, a stellar performance by services export, a pickup in capex in infrastructure, a rise in private investments particularly in the steel and cement sector, capacity utilization in manufacturing exceeding 75% and a nearly 16% growth in bank credit. There are some lingering concerns as well, which include continued geopolitical uncertainties, global inflation, which is still high in several countries, fears of contraction in world trade and a resulting dip in merchandise exports, and the possible impact of El Nino on the agriculture output.
While the centre in fact expects that there could be some change in the absolute numbers, but that will be a negligible change when you look at the whole figure of the GDP percentage. It clearly looks that the growth story of India is being looked into from a big angle, with inflation coming down in the last few months and manufacturing and services industries doing well. The centre is hopeful of a successful upcoming story for India's economic growth. Sadani for Business Today Television.
Let's take a very quick break. When we come back, mind-boggling figures which point to a financial crisis in China.
Pranav Salkar saw his mother struggle to get water after coming back from work every day. The nearest source of water was half a kilometer away. Pained by this sight, the 14-year-old took matters into his own hands. He started digging a well, and in 4 days, he struck gold.
त्याला मी एक सूचना दिली होती का इथे कोण कण थोडंसा पाणी लागतो का आपण बघूया. नंतर आम्ही मग कामावर जायची सुरुवात केली. मग त्यांनी मनापासून सुरुवात केली खोदायला. म्हणजे करता त्यांनी खोदता 3-4 दिवस त्यांनी लावले आणि पाणी लागलं.
Pranav's parents speak fondly of their son's efforts. They recount how he had made a ladder to dig out soil from the pit.
आम्ही मजुरी करतो आणि संध्याकाळी येतो काम करून. मग मला त्रास होतो म्हणून माझ्या वडिलांनी विहीर खोदली 4 दिवसात. मला आनंद वाटतो.
ते पाणी तुम्ही वापरता का?
त्या पाणी आम्ही वापरतो.
Kelve village in Palghar gets piped water thrice a week. To Pranav's parents, who work as labourers, the well is a relief. And it goes without saying, Pranav is now a hero in his village. Bureau Report, India Today.
Welcome back. PB Fintech, the parent company of Policy Bazaar, reported a sharp narrowing in losses in the fourth quarter. The company is now hopeful of turning profitable this fiscal and has claimed it will achieve 1,000 crores in net profits in the next 3 years. My colleague Sakshi Batra caught up with the company's founder and CEO, Yashish Daya, to find out how he aims to achieve this.
Good set of numbers for Q4, so congratulations on that. The company has turned break-even at the operating level for the quarter. Help our viewers understand your own sense as to when do you really expect to turn break-even at the net level now, and profitability once attained, how do you see it growing further?
I think next year we have guided that we should be profitable at the PAT level. We should obviously, to achieve that, we have to be significantly profitable at the adjusted EBITDA level. And what that also implies is from a cash flow perspective, we are already positive. So both at an operating adjusted EBITDA level and a cash flow level, we have now been positive. Now, I think, Sakshi, what one needs to understand is the core business has now been profitable from again, a EBITDA perspective, operating level, for about 6-7 quarters now. So it's not a new thing for the core business. I think what has happened is the core business is now making enough EBITDA to cover the losses created by the new initiatives. The new initiatives, I think we started about 18 months ago. We have grown very rapidly in those. And yes, when you grow such a business, you have some investments. We have now reached a stage where we are comfortable with our losses on the new initiatives. I think from here onwards at our operating level, we should not, we should continue to be positive. We've also given a second guidance, which is around 2027, we should have a PAT of about 1,000 crores, which should be encouraging from, from investors' perspective. It should also be encouraging from a company perspective, because that will really improve our cash flows quite a bit.
The buzzword right now is AI and the new technologies, ChatGPT. Have you been able to explore any of that so far, looking as to how this can really help scale up your business going forward from here?
Yeah, so both the businesses continue to look at the cutting edge technologies, the sort of data analytics and the AI work that we do across both the businesses is actually very, very cutting edge. And we hope that we are able to demonstrate some of that to the market and to the investors very soon. Just to give you some very, very simple examples, we have these, huge number of calls which go out every day. We are able to convert those calls into text and then analytics over it to understand better about the customer requirements. We have created a live score, like you would have heard about credit score, but internally we have created a live score where we look at, is there a risk that this customer may be a fraud? And if that's the case, what do we do to deep dive into that particular case? And a lot of that stuff happens through facial recognition technology that we have in-house built. And then we share that data and that insight with our partners when the case goes to the partner. There are multiple such things that we do as a company. And, eventually if we are looking at growing faster than the market, and if we are looking at creating more efficiency for ourselves, this is something that has to be done by any company, not only just by us.
Let's take a look at what else is making news in the corporate world. Go First has cancelled all its flights till the 4th of June. This is the third time Go First has extended cancellations. The budget airline had approached the bankruptcy court on the 3rd of May, citing unavailability of aircraft engines, which led to the grounding of its fleet. The airline had stopped issuing tickets and ceased operations on May 3rd. Japan's electrical equipment manufacturer Omron is set to open its first medical device factory in Tamil Nadu. According to a report, the Japanese company will invest around $16 million. This development comes after Tamil Nadu signed an MOU with 6 Japanese firms for 820 crore rupees. Apple has reportedly refused to toe the IT ministry line on betting apps. According to reports, Apple has told ministry officials that it needs concrete legal reasons to comply with the order to take down betting apps from its app store. Apple contended that some of the betting apps are legal in other geographies and cannot be made unavailable in India alone. Google has already complied by removing some of these apps. Wuhan, the epicenter of the COVID-19 epidemic, is literally going broke. City officials have asked more than 250 companies to immediately pay up their outstanding debts. Embarrassingly, these debtors include government departments alongside private companies.
3.5 years ago, this was the market from where the deadly COVID-19 virus spread and exploded across the world. It is Wuhan, a central Chinese city of more than 12 million, which is considered the epicenter of the disease, which claimed 7 million lives in the past 40 months. Today, the city is naming and shaming hundreds of debtors in local newspapers, demanding they immediately pay their debts and other outstanding amounts. Wuhan is in financial trouble and has printed a list of 259 entities with outstanding payments dating back to December 2018. The debts listed total more than $42 million. The article says the attempts to collect the money by writing to debtors had failed. Wuhan, considered the Detroit of China, is one of the country's several industrial powerhouses. However, Chinese President Xi Jinping's Zero COVID campaign seems to have exhausted the city budget. Wuhan spent millions of dollars on frequent COVID lockdowns, mass testing and quarantine centers before last December's policy U-turn. The real estate crash has only added to the woes as the local government relies heavily on revenues from land sale. Wuhan was forced to trim its budget by 8.5% this year, falling short of earlier estimates by a huge margin. According to a Goldman Sachs report, local city governments in China owe more than $23 trillion in debt, all burdened by the country's draconian anti-COVID measures. The majority of China's 31 states have already exceeded a threshold set by Beijing, which marks disproportionately high debt risks. Big worry is that local governments across China will have to make painful spending cuts or divert money away from growth-boosting projects to continue repaying their debts. Cities have been forced to cut heating to office buildings, shut down bus services and trim medical benefits to pensioners. These are reports of civil servants in cities like Shanghai having their salaries cut. All steps which analysts say will be the biggest challenge to the power of Xi Jinping in the coming days. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
That's where we leave it on the show tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Amazon has announced massive investment plans for India. The Jeff Bezos-owned company has said it will invest $12.7 billion or 1,50,000 crore rupees by 2030. The investment will be used to build its cloud infrastructure in India and will support over 100,000 full-time jobs annually. The company has already invested about $6.5 billion in India in the e-commerce sector. For more on this, we're joined by our correspondent Akanksha Chaturvedi.
Well, that's right. Amazon will be investing around $12.7 billion in India's cloud infrastructure. This is roughly around 1 lakh crore rupees. And this would be done by 2030. And this is not the first time that the company would be investing money in India's cloud infrastructure. The company has in fact invested around $3.7 billion between 2016 to 2022 in India's cloud infrastructure. They also believe that this would be creating a lot many jobs in India. To be exact, a little over 1,30,000 jobs every year. And these would be in maintenance, this would be in construction, in telecommunications, and a lot many sectors. What's also worth noting that Indian IT companies and Indian tech companies would also benefit from this infrastructure that would be built by Amazon in India.
Sorry.
powered by Max Life Insurance. You are the difference.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's play.
Hello and welcome to our special broadcast. The IPL Final 2023 made countless fans wait for over 2 days, but in the end, it was all worth it. All worth it because they got their money's worth. You saw a final that went down to the last ball, and what added cherry on top of the cake was the fact that MS Dhoni ended up on the winning side. That's what we're celebrating in the next half an hour or so. 5-star MS Dhoni, because now he's tied alongside the Mumbai Indians team for being the most successful team in IPL's history. Both teams now have 5 titles apiece. Let's take a look at what really happened on the day. Sunny Gavaskar will also join us live on the program. We'll talk to him about that exciting finish, also the kind of legacy that MS Dhoni has left behind. But mind you, MS Dhoni has also said, which we'll tell you a little later in the program too, that this is not his swan song. This is not his final season. So that's great news as well. Now, after a day of a washout, several hours of rain delay on the reserve day too, it was at 1:30 on Tuesday morning when the Chennai Super Kings emerged as the IPL champions for the 2023 edition. It took a boundary of the final ball of the match to determine the winner of a thrilling finale. Take a look at everything that panned out on the final day.
Even the legendary Mahendra Singh Dhoni could not stand the last ball drama. The man who's seen it all couldn't open his eyes even after his team won. There was drama right from the start when Shubman Gill got dropped early in GT's innings. GT had got off to a blistering start and it needed a special effort to break the partnership. MS Dhoni's lightning-quick stumping effort got rid of Shubman Gill. The reaction time being as quick as 0.1 second. Sai Sudarshan stunned CSK with his blitz and raised to the 90s. He was just one hit away from his maiden IPL ton, but got pinged on the pads by Matisha Pathirana.
He's on his way back at the end of an extra. Quite getting
on the big day, GT finished with a big total of 214 and CSK were asked to pull off a record chase in an IPL final.
So Titans ahead around at the moment, and that is
the CSK innings got underway but had to be halted as the weather gods intervened. When play resumed, the CSK openers came out all guns blazing.
Because there's no one out that side, it's gone all the way too. So far.
In a match reduced to 15 overs, CSK raised to 50 in just 4 overs. They were going strong, but GT struck twice in the same over.
Now he should be underneath this. Was looking to clear and
Ajinkya Rahane and Shivam Dubey landed some lusty blows and kept the pressure on GT.
And it's over the boundary. He connects.
The entire stadium rose to welcome Mahendra Singh Dhoni, but even before they could get back to their seats, Dhoni's stay in the centre ended. CSK needed 13 of the final over and it boiled down to 10 in the last 2. On strike was Ravindra Jadeja. He sent the ball over Mohit Sharma's head and CSK believed it could still be done. The great MSD prayed for a miracle and the miracle happened. Jadeja sent the ball to the fence and CSK's fairy tale comeback was complete. Sports Bureau, India Today.
What scenes we witnessed in that game that was played in Ahmedabad. And one thing that you know about MS Dhoni, he's always low profile, doesn't like to take the limelight, and that's exactly what we witnessed in that game too. But after the game was done and dusted, when he reached the hotel, there was a surprise planned for him, a massive cake in the colors of Chennai Super Kings, and then he cut that cake amongst all the team members, their extended family, everyone that was present. That was their small celebration that they had, but the real celebration is going to continue for days to come because Chennai was celebrating late into the night, and then, of course, for a few days to come, because there's a lot of other good news that happened which came after that final. So what is that other good news? Now, we saw breathtaking scenes in Ahmedabad. The prayers of not just those inside the stadium, but even outside were heard. And Mahendra Singh Dhoni lifted the IPL title for the record 5th time. The one question that was asked to him repeatedly during the whole season was once again asked to him at the end of the finale. And here's what MS Dhoni said when he was asked about his retirement.
You know, if you circumstantially, if you see, this is the best time for me to announce the retirement, you know, but the amount of love and affection that I've been shown wherever I have been this year, you know, I think the easy thing for me to say would be like, thank you very much, but the tough thing for me is to work hard for another 9 months and come back and play at least one more season of IPL. But a lot depends on the body. You know, I have 6, 7 months to decide, and I think, you know, it's something. It will be more like a gift from my side. You know, it's not easy for me, but you know, that's a gift. The way they have shown their love and affection, I think that's something that I need to do for them.
Now, as we celebrate the victor, spare a thought for a team that lost this game on the final ball of the match. MS Dhoni, as you saw, was all smiles after he lifted the IPL trophy for yet another time. But the losing captain, Hardik Pandya too, signed off with a big smile on his face and had his head held high. The man who modelled his team like the Chennai Super Kings didn't mind the result. As he said, he lost to the nicest man. Listen in to what the Gujarat captain said.
I mean, see, I'm very happy for him as well. You know, destiny had, you know, this written for him, and now if I had to lose, I don't mind losing to him as well. So I can't ask anything better. I mean, see, I mentioned last year as well, you know, good things happens to good people. I think he's one of the guys who is the nicest people who I've met, and you know, God's been kind. God's been kind with me as well, but I think God gave him little better today.
Okay, joining us live on the program, former India captain and our cricket analyst in Sunny Gavaskar. He was present in the stadium enjoying that particular game. Saiba, it's a game that, you know, the joke on social media is it's a match that actually gone on to 3 days because it was supposed to be on the 28th of May, finished on the 30th. But in the end, you'd say that everyone got their money's worth and this was the best IPL final possible?
I think it was exactly the final that, you know, a big tournament deserves. A big tournament, a huge tournament like the incredible Premier League deserves. Even before the first ball was bowled, I was saying, I just want a last ball finish. And that's exactly what happened. But what a game. What a game.
Okay, one of the moments when Chennai Super Kings were chasing was the fact that MS Dhoni comes out. Everyone was hoping that, you know, he finishes off in style as he often does with a 6. That wasn't to be, got out on a duck. But then would you say, you know, it was destiny? Eventually, he ended up on the winning side?
Yes, I mean, if he had been there to hit the winning run, it would have been, you know, like cherry on the top. But at the end of the day, being the team man that he is, he would be very happy that he might have got out first ball, but his team went on to win the title. So I think at the end of the day, that's all that matters, whether you score 100, so take 5 wickets. If your team loses, there's no fun. But you score 0, you might be smashed for 40, 50 runs, but if your team wins, that is huge.
Okay, now those 2 images that fans will remember for, you know, years to come. One of MS Dhoni there, emotionless, probably praying that his team ends up winning. The other one was that stumping that MS Dhoni did. You know, it was 0.01 second on the stopwatch. Usain Bolt may be the fastest man as far as running is concerned, but MS Dhoni, even at this age, you'd say the fastest glovesman behind the wickets?
Yes, I think it was, you know, for somebody who's 40 years old to be having that lightning quick reflexes to get the bails off in a flash, and that to get rid of the informed batter, Shubman Gill. That was the first blow, really, because Shubman was really hitting the ball well and looked like he was in for a big score again.
Okay, Saiba, you were in the stadium. Now talk to us about those final 2 deliveries. 2 boundaries were needed. The odds were stacked against the Chennai Super Kings. Ravindra Jadeja on strike, hasn't been in great form throughout the season. Tell us honestly, did you expect that CSK would end up winning?
Yes. I've seen him do it before. He's capable of that. We've seen him hit some big sixes. And so, with that last ball, the 5th ball, when he hit for a 6, and Mohit Sharma had done very little wrong till then, that actually, opened the door for that, the unbelievable finish.
Right, so as we celebrate the winners, that is the Chennai Super Kings and MS Dhoni, my mind also goes to someone like a Mohit Sharma. He was making a comeback in this IPL, had been outstanding, and that final over, barring those last 2 balls that we just spoke about, those first 4 balls that he bowled in that over was spot on. Where do you think it went wrong for the Gujarat Titans and Mohit Sharma in particular?
Well, actually, you know what? He had bowled those first three or 4 deliveries. He had bowled them absolutely brilliantly. Then for some strange reasons, some water was sent to him. In the middle of an over, some drink was sent to him. Then Hardik Pandya came and spoke with him. When a bowler is in that rhythm and he's mentally also there, nobody should have said anything to him. Nothing at all. If at all, from a distance, just say well bowled. But going to him, trying to talk to him, I don't think that was the right thing to do, because suddenly he was looking here and there. Till then, he was focused on his bowling, and I don't think that was a great idea, doing what was done at that particular time. Because after that is where he went for those runs, 10 runs.
That's a very pertinent point that Mr. Gavaskar there is making. Mohit Sharma was outstanding on the night. Experienced bowler. It's been almost a decade since he played for the Indian team. Probably should have allowed to do exactly what he was doing earlier instead of giving him so many inputs. But this is something, a lesson probably that you only learn in hindsight. Saibai, stay on with us. Plenty more to come with Mr. Gavaskar. Now, meanwhile, the 2023 edition of the Indian Premier League has in many ways been all about one man, and that is MS Dhoni. The legendary skipper led Chennai Super Kings to a 5th IPL title. But this tournament was about more than just Dhoni winning it. It was about celebrating him. Here's a special story covering all the facets of MS Dhoni that we saw in this edition of the IPL.
Tata IPL champions! The talk before the tournament was about one man, and in the final, he had his say in trademark fashion. MS Dhoni's lightning-fast reflexes behind the stumps will forever be a cherished moment in CSK's glorious IPL 2023 campaign. But Dhoni was more than just one moment. Fans thronged the stadiums, decked out in yellow shirts with the number 7 emblazoned on it, regardless of where the match was being played. It was as if every game was a home fixture for CSK.
केकेआर में कोई किंग हो सकता है, चेन्नई में भी कोई किंग हो सकता है, लेकिन वहाँ एक ब्रांड है धोनी, वो किंग मेकर है, ठीक है। और
I am expecting to see that Dhoni needs to win.
He needs to win.
He's a good cricket player.
He is a good cricket player. Is it the first time you will be seeing Dhoni?
Yeah.
We are coming from Pune and Nashik for this match. Just see to Mahi playing very well.
He should not apply for the retirement. He should play more for 4 to 5 years as looking to his fitness.
Really hurtful, and I hope he will play for more and more years. And look at this.
It got to a point where the crowd willed on certain CSK batsmen to get out just so they could get a glimpse of MS Dhoni.
देखिए मैं नीचे जा रहा हूँ तो माही भाई के नाम से चिल्लाते हैं और जब मैं आगे जाऊँगा तो फिर वो आउट होने का वेट करेंगे तो जो भी है सही चल रहा है जो भी टीम जीत रही है बस मैं भी खुश हूँ.
And even legends of the game were keen to get in on Dhoni mania. Such was the adulation the man received from everywhere. But Dhoni's presence wasn't just a victory lap. Even at 41, he hammered the best of bowlers that the IPL has to offer.
Listen!
cover again. You've got to get another.
Dhoni also showed that his mind remains as sharp as ever when a genius change in field during qualifier 1 led to the dismissal of Rashid Khan.
Should have seen the activity before this ball was bowled. Brilliant captaincy.
He also proved that he has the ability to motivate his players to do better, as he subtly voiced his displeasure at his bowlers for bowling one too many extras.
Strengthen the offside.
One more thing is, they'll have to bowl maybe no balls and less wides, because we are bowling too many extra deliveries, or they'll have to be ready to play under a new captain, at some point of time, it will be my second warning and I'll be off.
Two other CSK players in Shivam Dube and Ajinkya Rahane also spoke glowingly about Dhoni's influence on their good form this year, showcasing his man management ability.
Too easy for Ajinkya Rahane.
उनके लिए मैं एक ही चीज़ बोल सकता हूँ, वो इतने बड़े क्रिकेटर हैं, वो कुछ चीज़ आपको बोल दे तो आपके लिए आपका कॉन्फिडेंस ज़मीन से आसमान में चाहे। तो मुझे तो बहुत सारी चीज़ उन्होंने बोला है, तो ऑब्वियसली मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है अपना बैटिंग करके।
I think important thing about Mahi Bhai and Flem is they gave freedom to each and every individual. When I came into CSK camp, they just told me to play my normal game, just prepare well, focus on your preparation, focus on your process. That's what MS